Greetings, everyone, and welcome to a Fight Club for the Remote edition of Monster Party.
Monster Party.
Grab that remote. Go to
Grab
the
that
theater.
remote. We gotta grab the remote.
It's so many things going on.
There's so many things to watch.
It's a great time to be a horror sci-fi nerd.
It's one of the niche areas where it's a great time to be alive.
And speaking of nerds, who are you, sir?
I am Matt Weinhold.
I'm Sean Sheridan.
I'm Larry Stroth.
And I'm James Gonis.
And for this episode, well, once again, we're going back to something that we did not too long ago.
Yeah.
But it's a good type of episode to do because people need to know this information. They need to know what we, Monster Party, and our wonderful guests, what we're experiencing in the zeitgeist. Yes, I said zeitgeist of the horror, fantasy, science fiction world and how it relates to media. So
there's so much going
We're doing
on.
a service. We're doing
that's
a service
long-winded
to the population.
way of saying what this episode is what we're watching, Volume 3.
What we're watching, Volume 3.
Oh my gosh, it's a spooky word, isn't it?
So much.
Three's a spooky number.
Yes, it's
way
so
spookier than
much.
2.
I can't keep track. My gosh.
I'm so happy we're doing Volume 3.
Yes. Me too. But guys, we need someone really special to help guide us through this. Because there's so much out to talk about.
Yes.
We do. And we have the perfect guest. Could not be more perfect for this episode. Our guest is an award-winning writer, film critic, and pop culture journalist. She is the arts and culture reporter for KPBS News in San Diego. She's a member of the Broadcast Film Critics Association and the Online Film Critics Society. She's written about cinema for National Public Radio. She's also a producer-editor, and she has actually edited on all 3 Killer Tomato movies.
Oh my
God.
That's right.
What hasn't she done?
Including Return of the Killer Tomatoes, which of course stars a very young George Clooney.
No.
Yes, that's right.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
And
sharpens his teeth on that one.
That's right. And just as importantly, she has a passion for horror films, Japanese monsters, Hong Kong cinema, film noir, and she's an avid toy collector.
Oh my God.
Gentlemen, please welcome our guest, BETH ACCOMANdo.
Yes, welcome.
Oh, our new best friend.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So a critic.
You know
Actual
what?
critic.
Everyone's a critic. Everyone's a critic.
But
That's true.
a professional one, man. Oh, wow.
Yes,
We
a paid
need
one.
you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because these clowns. Yeah, I stole your name, Larry. Your
You
clown
did. You
word.
did.
Now-
Beth, as Sean's going on, I mean, I'm just blown away. You're like one of us.
Yes.
You are.
Definitely part of the Monster Party. Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
How did you get into all this? Were
how
you
did
like
your-
a funky kid? I mean, what
Monster
how did
kid?
this all
Yeah,
start
like
out?
how did your passion for
It's-
cinema begin?
It all starts with my dad. So my dad loved movies, and he not only did he take me to movies, but he kind of created this whole aura about going to movies. So he would tell me that when he was a kid growing up in New York and New Jersey, like they would sneak into this theater that was called the Star, but they used to call it the Rats because, they didn't want people to know where they were going. And, he said, like one kid would go in and they'd hold the door open and the rest of them would sneak in. And so like he made going to a movie a whole kind of experience.
Adventure, yeah.
Yeah. And so he took me to things that probably most fathers wouldn't take their daughters to. So I got to see King Kong and Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Yay.
I mean,
Nice.
I do remember when I was little, he bought me some model kits, and I specifically asked for. I got a King Kong and a Creature from the Black Lagoon, and I remember asking for some red paint so I could add blood.
Of
And
course.
apparently he lied at the toy store and told them he was buying it for his son and not his daughter.
Oh. Oh, come on.
But yeah, so my dad, he took us to movies all the time. And, when we came out to California, there was this theater that was called the Cinema Leo on Garnett in Pacific Beach. And you used to lie down to watch the movies. And the screen was like floor to ceiling, wall to wall. And you would bring pillows or a sleeping bag. But the thing is, this is like pre-VHS, pre-DVD.
Right.
The only place you could see like old movies was if it was playing like in repertory somewhere. So like the Ken Cinema would show some stuff. But like they were showing old Marx Brother movies, old Universal Horror, Adventures of Robin Hood. And so, my dad took us there, and he's the one who basically, got me hooked on all these movies.
That's so cool because it's kind of a common thing amongst the four of us. We had parents that encouraged our love for everything weird and freaky. They let us embrace it.
My mom was a giant, and still is, a big science fiction fan, but my dad, when my older brother got all the Aurora model kits for his birthday, my dad, who is this wonderful artist, painted them.
Oh, wow.
And so your story about the blood, the one thing my brother was allowed to do on the models is put the blood on them.
Oh, nice.
Blood applicator.
Yeah.
Now, Beth, you're a Godzilla fan as well,
yes.
Correct? Do you have a single favorite Godzilla movie?
Well, sort of. One of my favorites is Godzilla versus Hedorah. I don't know. I can't explain exactly why this happened, but part of it I think has to do with my love for underdogs. And so I just felt like Hedorah never got as much love as he deserved. And one of the things that won me. Yes, you gotta love both the bad monster and the good monster.
He's disgusting, Beth.
But he's one of the coolest villains.
But Godzilla is only as good as his nemesis.
Yes.
So you've got to have but also I saw a picture of the suit actor who played Hedorah, and my heart went out to him.
Yes.
I felt like that costume out of all of them really looked difficult
because
to navigate through.
He kind of towered over the Godzilla suit.
Yes.
Well, and it was just like heavy rubber. I mean, they did not make those suits to be comfortable
or safe.
No. And so I just did this Screen Drafts mega draft about Godzilla movies, and Graham Skipper, who just wrote this guide to Godzilla movies, was on it. And he related a horrible story about the poor guy who was in the Hedorah suit. He said the guy had a burst appendix while in the suit, but that it was so difficult to get him in and out of the suit that they finished the scene and then operated on him while he was still in the suit without anesthesia.
Oh, my God. Wow.
This is coming from the author of the Ultimate Godzilla Guide, so I will take him at his word. But
that's
that only makes me respect that actor even more and love Hedorah even more.
That actor's name is Kenpachiro Satsuma.
Yes.
And he went on to play Godzilla in the Heisei series of Godzilla films.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah. But you're right, though. But Godzilla versus Hedorah is also just like the strangest movie. It's like a little kids movie, then it gets super weird and nightmarish, and it's there's no other Godzilla film like that.
And may I remind you, it's the first one where you see Godzilla toys for the first time, which blew me away.
Yeah. Right.
It's the only one where Godzilla flies. It's also the only one which you could probably watch on LSD and enjoy more.
Absolutely. Well,
I'm gonna try
come on, Beth. Come on now. Come on.
I'll see you in 15 hours.
Okay. Okay.
You know what? One thing I will say about Hedorah, I think that Hedorah has aged well. I think that monster is way more popular now. Because when you see when you're looking at Godzilla toys, James and I have been to G-Fest a number of times. You see all sorts of different variations of those Hedorah vinyl figures. Yeah. And they're so beautiful. And that character lends itself to artistic interpretation.
Yes.
Too.
Yeah. It's also the first Godzilla kaiju that had different transformations, different forms.
That's right.
which really made
and also, and as far as the popularity goes, here we are, guys, in 2022. This is a film that came out in what, 72?
I think he just celebrated his 50th.
Wow.
Yes,
anniversary.
but right now, guys, right now in 2022, Super 7 has just come out with a series of Halloween Ben Cooper style masks of Godzilla, Mechagodzilla, and Hedorah.
No way.
It's right there.
Oh,
just around the corner.
And so that, and you see, that goes to show you just how mesmerizing that monster. No, not adorable, Sean.
No,
but just
durable.
Oh, durable.
But I would say when he's a tadpole, he's adorable.
Yeah, he's adorable.
Yeah.
So I just want you to know that I actually did my Christmas tree as Hedorah. 2 years, twice.
That's awesome.
I may have seen a picture of that tree.
Yes.
Because I thought that was the most genius Christmas tree I'd ever seen. And of course, I'm telling my wife, "Hey, honey, let's do this." And my wife, we're kind of Rudolph people. She goes, "No, honey, we're
Hey, but there's a connection between Rudolph and Hedorah, because my last Hedorah for the 50th anniversary, we built the little industrial building with the smokestack.
Yes.
And we put the Santa Claus from Rudolph in it because it made sense. It connected. It connected.
It's a shared universe.
In a weird way.
Brilliant.
But so I had the big Hedorah that I built. I built out of like garland and foam and
Beth,
I'm committed.
I am blown away because that is like one of the most gorgeous Christmas trees I've ever seen, and hopefully we can have a picture of it so we can post it.
I can send you a picture.
That'd be so great. So Beth, just out of curiosity, you seem to be an expert on Hedorah. You know,
that was said with a little bit of derision.
No.
With the hand gesture.
No. So
you're sort of an expert.
Okay. Well, she's a critic. She must know. So at the end, when we know that Godzilla has like pounded the crud out of Hedorah, and Godzilla takes out these two things,
orbs.
What are those things?
Oh man, I'm not sure what those orbs are. I don't know. I don't know.
Some people say the eggs. Some people say it's his like essence.
No, it's his eyeballs.
No, it's
Heteridium.
Heteridium or heterite.
Heteridium,
like
something like that. It's like the source of his power, of his toxic power.
Maybe it was the actor's appendix.
It could have been.
Nice. That's what it is. Two of them. Wow. No wonder he was in pain.
That would work better if it was like gallstones or kidney stones.
Sure.
Then they could have pulled that out.
Monster kidney stones.
Leave it for Mr. Gonus to bring us back.
Oh, that was great. Good.
So Beth, did you like read Famous Monsters, Fangoria magazine, stuff like that too? Where you kind of go to horror conventions early on?
No, not horror conventions early on. I wasn't terribly mobile in that respect, like being able to get places. My parents did take me to, they swear this isn't true, but I swear to God, they used to drop me off at Comic-Con, like just on the steps. And they said, "Oh no, we would never do that." But I said, "Yeah, that was a different time. Like you didn't feel like there was anything unsafe about dropping me on the steps of Comic-Con."
Yeah.
But I went to that a lot. I didn't read them like religiously, but I got like a lot of the Cinemagic, Cinefex, Starlog, like all of those. Right. But when you're a kid, it all has to do with like how much allowance you have. So
I hear you.
You bought the ones you could afford and the ones that had like the cover that matched with like what you were most interested in.
Right.
But yeah, I loved all that stuff. And I watched pretty much everything. It wasn't just horror. I mean, my dad also had a love for just like old movies too. So I watched a lot of
Turner classic movies,
Marx Brothers and film noir and, Bogart, Bacall, Tracy, Hepburn, that kind of stuff too.
Nice.
You mentioned Robin Hood, The Adventures of Robin Hood. One of the greatest, I think, movies, and certainly one of the greatest action movies of all time. I think that's a movie that you could plop a kid down in front of and he would enjoy that. He or she would enjoy that movie.
Yeah.
I sure hope so. Sometimes I feel like the new generations are so jaded sometimes. And I'm like, no. But I was happy. I used to run an anime club at my son's school, his middle school.
Oh, nice.
And I remember showing Totoro, and I was just so happy that no matter how old the kids were or how cool they thought they were, they all loved Totoro. And I was going like, oh, thank God. Like,
Nice.
Miyazaki. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. Awesome. All right. Well, look, since we're talking about what we're watching, I think, Beth, you should start with something like either a new movie or an old movie and a Blu-ray or a TV show, anything recently that you saw genre-wise that you liked or didn't like.
Or to recommend to our listeners. Yeah.
Well, so I just came off of watching Fantastic Fest at home. So I have quite a few films that I enjoyed watching. But to tie into Godzilla, they ran Shin Ultraman. So that is essentially the sequel to Shin Godzilla. It plays plays off of that.
Really?
And I mean, I did not watch Ultraman religiously. Like I watched a lot of the Godzilla films. But when my son was little, my friend who adores Ultraman cut together a VHS tape of all the Ultraman battles.
Wow.
So it's just 2 hours of Ultraman battles, and that was it. And so that was my introduction to Ultraman. But the new film is great. Like, it's so much fun. It plays off of what that old show was like, but it has kind of a new edge to it too. I don't know if you guys saw the Shin Godzilla, right?
Oh, yes.
I love it.
So that's what I'm curious about. Is it kind of like that same vibe and approach that Shin Godzilla was?
Yes. So it has more humor to it, I think, because of what the show was. But what it carries over is that political satire, that sense of government bureaucracy. I don't know if you remember, one of my favorite things in Shin Godzilla is you have the intense action music as they're moving a copying machine in. This is what these guys do. So it's the same core group of these kind of bureaucrats who have to deal with monsters attacking Tokyo and who gets billed for what and all that.
Fantastic. I love
there's that. But then there's also the really fun battles, and it was just great fun. I'm sorry I saw it virtually, so it was on a small screen. My friend drove up to LA to see it the next night or 2 nights later. But I hope we can get it in San Diego so that people can see it on a big screen. But that was so much fun.
Do they feature the Science Patrol in a way still too, from the old show?
The same format, right?
Yeah, it's the same format. It feels kind of like multiple episodes. And again, I'm not super familiar with what the TV show was like, but this one felt like it flowed nicely out of Shin Godzilla, and that from what I'd seen of Ultraman, it felt like it captured kind of that mix of, and it captures the cheesiness, but without necessarily it's not condescending as it's paying homage to the cheesiness. It's not like a nudge, nudge, wink, wink. It's just
which is good.
We're not going to use crazy CGI to make these monsters. We're going to make it look kind of like it did, but a little better. But
So it's guys in suits then.
For the most part.
I mean, I can't swear to you it's 100% guys in suits, because they do mix some CGI and some of in Godzilla and stuff. But it looks but it looks great.
I guess the plan is the next film is going to be Shin Kamen Rider, which
I think
is another show I love.
Yeah, so they're supposed to do a series of them. I don't know how many, and then once they're all done, then the universes can cross over. Is what I've heard.
Wow!
I want to see a Shin War of the Gargantuas.
Yes,
That's what I want to see.
A favorite of ours.
You know, guys, it's times like this when you feel so happy to be alive, right?
It's true.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just
moments.
wonderful.
I keep looking for those things, and so whenever something like that, somebody tells me Shin Ultraman is excellent, then man, it's just like a skip in my step for at least another 24 hours.
Yeah.
It was so much fun, and I watch it at 2 a.m. in the morning or something, because the films expire at certain times. So if you start falling behind, then it's it expires at 9 a.m. All right, I got to make sure I get in on this. but
So
it was so much fun.
So
Oh,
where
that's
can
awesome.
where can we see this now?
It's
Or
not
is it
I
officially
don't-
released yet, right?
Yeah,
Not
so
yet.
I don't know where it's going to play. I mean, Toho owns the rights to it in Japan, but I don't know if anybody owns the rights to it in the US. It played in LA, I believe at the El Capitan Theater. And
Wow.
I don't know if that was like a single night thing. I work here with Digital Gym Cinema to try and like book films and stuff like that. So I'm exploring who might own the US rights and how
Wow,
much might
cool.
it cost for us to get it to play here? I don't know. It might play in a regular theater anyway. I mean, Shin
Right.
Godzilla played briefly
Yeah.
here,
Right.
but yeah, I'm not sure where it's available right now, but I think it had if it didn't have its US premiere at Fantastic Fest, it was a fairly, close to premiere screening for it.
Right.
So for
Wow.
listeners, we need to look for this. I'm sure.
Yes.
Yes, I
Yeah.
need
Oh,
to see
yeah.
this like right
Big
now.
time.
Awesome. That is awesome.
Nice
Awesome.
recommendation.
Great
start.
That's
So somebody
great.
got something else that they'd like to weigh in on?
Yeah, actually, I have one that I think, Matt, you had mentioned that you had seen.
Okay.
This is a film that just came out, I think just on streaming for Hulu, and that was the new Predator film, Prey.
Ah,
yes.
right.
Oh,
Really
yes.
it was like finally a good Predator sequel after so
Yes.
many crappy ones. You
Yeah.
know, and I don't know if you're familiar with it, but the idea is that it's in the 1700s and it's like one of the first appearances of a predator on Earth. And it's a Comanche tribe that is under attack by the predator, as well as there's like some French fur traders in the vicinity that are also causing a threat. And there's this one female tribes member played by Amber Midthunder, who's this young tribal girl who wants to become a hunter, and she's kind of like looked frowned upon by all the male hunters to become a really great hunter, but she's the one who's perceptive and sees that there's something going on that's killing these other animals. There's something out there hunting. It's not a bear, it's not something else. And the movie takes its time to develop the characters.
Yep.
It very slowly and very creatively starts showing the presence of the predator just in little increments, really in a really creepy way. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. It's not the most complex movie, but it is really well done. It is just you care
great
for
cast.
the characters. Everybody's really good. The music is excellent. Great location scenery. It's like takes place like in the North American Great Plains, and it's just this great. It becomes like this battle of wits between this female hunter and the predator, and it's also like this. There's hunting all over in it. Like you see, like a wolf hunting a rabbit and a snake going after, like there's hunting everywhere. And it's all these levels of hunting. It's really cool. And I just really, really liked it. It was just very satisfying. Predator's great. Never talks down to the audience. Nobody ever does anything stupid or, it's just really well done.
Shows Native Americans, with respect.
Respect.
And, yeah.
Yes. It's really, so yeah.
It's,
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I thought she was incredible. Yeah, it was one of those movies where I was shocked, really, about like 45 minutes into it, thinking, wow, this is a step above. This is taking the material more seriously. And, it's like a real movie. And don't get me wrong, I love the Predators in almost every incarnation, a lot more than others. But to see it done with this kind of respect was a breath of fresh air.
Yeah. Beth, have you seen this?
I did. I can't rave about it as much as you.
Okay. Well,
Fair enough.
I felt a little trapped in like a Disney princess movie where, like.
Hey, come on now. There are some good princess movies out there.
There may be.
Frozen, hello?
Oh God, no, please. No.
Come on, Beth, that's
Let
a
it
good
go.
movie.
No,
it's not.
Go back to Prey. Go back to Prey. Let it go.
So I do think it's better than a lot of the other films that have been in the Predator franchise.
Yes.
But I felt like, I don't know, it's this quality to it where it's like there's so much emphasis put on the fact that they're going to be giving us this female Native American character, and that's why we should like it. And I did feel like there was all this it felt like Brave to me. Like she's got to be feisty and she's got to like prove herself to all these men. And like, why do we assume that community would have the same prejudices and stereotypes that we do in contemporary America now? Like, maybe they didn't have prejudices against women like that.
So you think they made too big a deal of it? So you think they could have just done it more without bringing so much attention to that?
And the end felt a little bit like the Ewoks bringing down the Empire. So I don't know. Maybe I was in a bad mood.
Although, you know what? Can I say this?
Yes.
I think it's a lot better than Brave.
Brave is a good movie. You
Larry's
like
a big
the bear.
If you're six.
No, don't say that. Oh, if you're sick, there's a lot you can learn from that film.
But I will
I've
say
learned
that. I mean, I love the first Predator. I actually really enjoy Predator 2 when it takes place in the city. And I like that one, but I also like the first Alien versus Predator movie.
Oh, me too.
That was fun.
I think that's underrated.
Yeah, me too. But all the other sequels after that until Prey, I thought have been disappointing and forgettable. Yeah. So this was I thought it was just a fresh take. You know,
it's like The Force Awakens. It's a healing film to get through the dark times.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, like the prequels. We had to go through the prequels and then we came out and you know, there was something that we weren't embarrassed to like.
It at least shows that you can take a franchise. I mean, look how many franchises. I mean, the Alien franchise, Jurassic Park franchise, Terminator franchise, which for the most part has a lot of bad sequels in them.
Yeah.
And unmemorable sequels.
The newest Jurassic World.
Yeah,
I heard that was terrible.
Well, that's actually
made a lot of money, people. It made
that doesn't mean anything.
See, Larry? It doesn't matter.
What is she? She's a critic.
Yeah,
exactly.
She knows what she's talking about. So, but
it's the regular Joes out there.
Yeah, so regular Joes just like anything that the crowd likes. So
you're just a populist. You go along with You're just you're a lemming.
Although actually, you know, you actually study lemmings, they don't really do that. But
but I will say with Prey though, at least I just thought it was a little bit of a surprise for me because I really went in expecting not much at all. It's like really Prey, like,
no, I enjoyed it, but
you gotta
call it like you see it. I mean, that's just that's what. That's
it was fine. It was fine to watch. I didn't ever feel like I wanted to turn it off. I was hoping for more. Is all.
Okay.
Right.
That's fair. Okay.
Cool.
All right. Who's next? What do you got?
Here's something that I'm guessing will cause a little bit of consternation here.
Uh-oh.
So my wife and I, after a long period of time, finally sat down to watch Thor: Love and Thunder.
Thor: Love and Thunder.
And we couldn't. If I was at the theater, I would have walked out.
Matt,
biggest pile of shit.
It's on my list.
No, come on, guys.
Larry,
horrible.
Matt, I agree with you 200%. It is by far the worst MCU film so far.
It is. It is. Hands down,
terrible.
The worst.
It is unwatchable.
It's a popcorn film.
And you know what, Larry? I find it insulting that you defend that movie. Someone who would hate the Munsters because it was making fun of the monsters.
Yeah.
That movie shits on superhero films from the minute it starts. It's all a big joke.
Wait,
exactly.
There was some serious stuff in there. It has a great mix. No. It's more.
Listen to me.
There's maudlin stuff.
It had no tonal connection.
No, oh my God, it was all over the place. There was no sense of jeopardy or stakes whatsoever because everything was a joke or a comedy skit.
And the lamest jokes.
Yeah.
The lamest. How many times are we going to double over laughing because Thor takes his clothes off?
Yeah.
I thought it was funny. You flick too hard. I thought it was funny. Come on.
Study comedy then. Because the level of what makes you laugh is scary.
Taika Waititi should be kept away from all MCU films for the rest of his life. That movie is.
Oh wait, but Ragnarok was great.
Well,
I thought
I really enjoyed
it was
it.
better.
Yes,
It was better than. But
the critic says it was great.
I saw signs of trouble in Ragnarok
Yes,
too, because I thought they went
yes.
too far with the comedy. So by
Yes.
the
It was
time
a
they got to
comedy.
this one, it was all
At
over.
least Ragnarok had Jeff Goldblum.
yes.
And it had the guy who played Hulk. I don't remember his name, but those guys
Ruffalo.
are engaged. Yeah,
Yeah,
Ruffalo.
Those guys are
Yeah.
funny and they're engaging. This did not have that. It did have Russell Crowe playing Zeus doing this Greek accent.
Embarrassing. Also,
Terrible.
plot wise, it's supposed to be that there's a god killer that Thor has to stop. Then
Yes.
God just goes.
Which
Then
is,
Zeus just goes. Then Thor
Christian
just
Bale.
goes ahead.
Christian
Right,
Bale.
but then Thor just goes ahead and kills Zeus like it's nothing.
Yeah.
Well,
It makes no
Horrible.
sense. It makes no sense. But I will say, Christian Bale, I think, thought he was acting in a good movie because I thought that his little opening sequence and his origin story and his performance was fine.
I
If it
agree. The
was in a
first
better-
10 minutes
if
are
it
the
was
best.
in a better movie, yeah. But he's just lost in the movie because it's all wacky and the effects are terrible for the most
I
part.
agree. I agree.
There's one the one sequence where they're fighting in the black and white world and there's bursts of color I thought was cool. Other than that, all the design and the effects were just
Flat.
boring and like terrible. It was terrible.
Terrible. And Christian Bale is great. I'm a Christian Bale fan, a huge one.
yeah.
My wife
It's
will
a shame.
leave me
He should have
for
been in.
him.
Yeah, it was a waste. It was a waste of a good villain in the MCU.
But he's
You know-
great, and he's great in everything, but he can't save a movie.
No.
you guys just don't like joy. You just don't like to
You
have
don't
like
fun.
quality.
You don't like to have
quality.
sit.
Hey,
No,
why
you
don't
like
you
to
like
sit
the
and have
Munsters?
popcorn. It's a
Why don't you like
it's a
the
freaking
Munsters?
superhero thing.
and how about the group of cute, precocious kids that Thor has to save? I mean,
You didn't
it's
like
just
that?
unbelievable.
That was what you don't like kids
terrible.
now, Sean?
Not
Sean
in that
doesn't like
movie.
kids.
Not in
I
that
see.
movie.
I
No,
gotcha.
it's
I
terrible.
gotcha. No,
Why
you
does
can't-
Thor have to be a buffoon?
He's
Thor is
not
a great
buffoon.
Thor is a
Completely-
great
he's
Marvel
completely a
character.
buffoon.
Yeah,
He is,
it's
and you know what?
awful.
You guys are shitting all over this. You're forgetting about the cancer thing and Jane,
which
and-
means
and
nothing
taking-
because
No,
everything around it is a joke.
No, you gotta. It's some heavy stuff, Sean. You
It's
gotta lighten it up a
predictable.
little bit. You
It's
know.
All right,
predictable.
So
No,
why don't you
Beth,
go-
well,
Beth, what
predictable.
do you think?
why don't you go- why don't you go
She
watch all
can
the
wait.
Munsters again?
She can wait before I say something. Okay. It's like. See, now you've made me forget my thought. Thanks, Sean. Thank you.
Okay,
Sure.
Beth.
Let's let the
Beth.
let's
All
let
right,
the
Beth.
critic.
Have you
Go
seen
ahead,
this
Beth.
movie,
Go ahead.
Beth?
Go on,
Come on.
Miss Critic.
Wait. First of all, just as you guys all know, and Beth, I am a huge fan and lover of the MCU in general.
Me too.
The feat that they have done to create that franchise with so many good films in that huge franchise is such a feat. But there are missteps, and this was to me the biggest misstep yet. So, Beth, what did you think of it?
100%.
I mean, I have problems with the Thor series of films, and the only one of the Thor films that I actually liked was Ragnarok, which
Okay.
because I'm a big fan of Taika Waititi.
Me
Not
too.
everybody is. I think he fares much better with the What We Do in the Shadows,
Yes.
the original, the mockumentary that he did.
Sure.
It's a film where it was flawed and there were a lot of things wrong with it. But to me, like Taika Waititi has a likability to him and his characters that makes me feel like, okay, I'm just hanging out with friends. And today maybe they're a little drunker than usual and not quite on the ball, but like I still like hanging out with them. And so it's a film that I felt disappointed by, but it's not a film that I feel like I had to hate.
Yeah, it
it's
doesn't
just
get
like
you
I just
angry.
felt it doesn't get me angry. I was happy to watch it. Like it entertained me while I watched it. And like I said, it feels like you're just hanging out with friends. And so there's a part of it that's kind of like, I kind of like hanging out with these guys. And I did like Christian Bale in it. I thought
Yes.
the
Yeah,
stuff
he's
with
great.
him looked genuinely creepy. And he was genuinely, kind of a scary villain on a certain level.
Yeah.
But
I just
but
feel like
Beth, wait a minute, hold on. But when the idea of you're hanging out with friends, to me, like I watched that movie and I was like, I was hanging out with friends, and then I finally realized one of my friends is a dick. And then I realized more of them are, oh, you're a dick too. Oh, okay.
See, I just think, like, to me, like, Sam Raimi can get it right with the tone. Like, I really enjoyed the last Doctor Strange.
That
film.
I did
that
enjoy,
was
yes.
really. I thought it was a perfect balance of like the pulp kind of superhero with a little.
Yeah,
dark.
but what bothered me about that film was because they created all the universes, the multiverse.
Oh.
It's like they brought in all these characters just to kill them because they knew it was a multiverse and it didn't really matter. So if you want to talk about like emotional weight, that film was trying to be way more serious than Thor. I mean, there was no real attempt to be serious. There's like,
I know, but
there's a little bit of, Jane dealing with cancer, whatever.
Cancer, not a happy thing.
Not a happy thing, but it's not meant like that's not the core of the story. But for me, I mean, again, I have very high hopes for Sam Raimi. I love Sam Raimi. And I thought wow, this is a great opportunity for him. But I felt like the whole multiverse was wasted on this idea of like, let's have all these moments, like people in the audience, you could hear all the fanboys, like every time a character came in, like, oh my God, they've got so-and-so as so-and-so.
Right.
And then they kill him off and it doesn't matter because it doesn't count. And so there's no emotional investment in it. So like you're watching the film and it's like, I don't care who dies because it doesn't really matter. And the Scarlet Witch character just made no sense at all to me. Like she made no sense.
I liked her.
She didn't make
no sense because she's like bringing on like the apocalypse because she wants to like reconnect with these kids that aren't her. Like as a mother, you don't want to destroy the entire world so that you can like pretend to be happy with your like children.
She was delusional. She was scared.
Beth, it made a lot of money. A lot.
I don't care.
It did.
I don't care.
There are a lot of millions of people out there can't be wrong.
I will still take.
Oh yeah, they can.
I will still take the multiverse. I will still take the multiverse over Russell Crowe in a toga any day.
Yes.
I mean, I don't really want to have to choose between those two films.
Fair enough.
Beth,
That's good. Okay.
I am in agreement with you on this. And guys, we've argued offline about Doctor Strange because I was not a fan. My biggest takeaway is, look, Endgame is over. I think that we need another Thanos type threat in order to justify these movies. I'm not saying that they're not worth seeing necessarily, even if, they weren't that successful, but they're not as interesting to me as everything pre-Endgame, leading up to Endgame. So
I can go with. I know what you mean with that. Yeah. I mean, look, they've got, of course, plans for the next phase. I mean, they've got all kinds of stuff happening, but
it's going to be a laugh riot. I can tell you that.
I hope the plans are better than what I've been seeing. That's
me too.
Okay.
Well, I mean, the other thing about Scarlet Witch is you had that whole WandaVision series where she works through her grief.
I like that. I think that was cool.
No. But then you come to the multiverse movie and it's like you just negated that whole journey.
That was like the result of that. It was like
once crazy.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, because I'm sure, I'm sure some of us have known, you meet some gal or something and you find they're a little crazy, come on.
Stop now. Just stop now.
Okay. All right. Okay.
All right. All right. Well, that's good. See, this is good. This is good, though. This is the debate.
This is what we like.
See, millions of people can't be wrong with spending their $15 and people are going, that was so great and that was so fun. I enjoyed, eating my popcorn and my red vines, having my big Coke, while I'm watching this fun thing. And it was fun.
But some of those people walked out of the theater arguing just like we're arguing. It's like,
no.
Wasn't all that.
Curmudgeons like you going, oh, poo, I don't want to watch this.
I'm glad.
I
I'm
would have
glad I
walked
didn't
out.
pay for Yeah, I'm glad I didn't pay for that. Yeah.
Okay, let me ask Beth a question here because she's a critic. So Beth,
you say that with such derision.
Yes. No.
That's
but now you're a critic, and
that.
so you see these films and you say to yourself, you're not going to be like these clowns and walk out of a theater. You feel that it takes a lot to put together a film, so you're going to stay to the very end.
Oh yeah,
because you can learn something.
Sure,
from
I do.
This.
I will.
Well, no, I don't. I mean, I will not review a film if I have not stayed through the entire movie.
Sure, of course.
And
of course.
I think the only film I walked out on was 1,000,000 Years BC when I was a kid, because one of the dinosaurs looked so fake it offended me, and I left. I couldn't stand Raquel Welch at that time. So that's the only film I've walked out on.
You were a kid, though. You might appreciate the Ray Harryhausen effects now.
I appreciate Ray Harryhausen's effects, but there was one lizard in that film that was really bad.
It's at the beginning, Beth. It's
a
real lizard. It
was terrible.
You're right. Oh, look, there's one lizard. I'm going to leave. You missed out on all the wonderful dinosaurs that Ray Harryhausen make.
You're not going to yell her opinion out of her.
Yeah, just relax. Okay, all right.
Well,
Larry.
She missed out on a good dinosaur film.
She did.
Okay.
I guess she did.
And Raquel Welch. You didn't like Raquel Welch?
One of the finest actors of our age.
Do you think that they have?
She made a lot of money.
No, she has to speak. She has to speak in caveman tongue.
Yes,
and that's not easy.
to possibly do that.
She's an incredibly smart businesswoman. I'll give her that.
Oh yeah.
Sure. All right, Larry, what do you got?
No. I'm too irritated and upset.
We have to go on. Come on.
All right.
No,
I'm
James. You go.
James.
Okay. As a big fan of David Cronenberg, I have been actually saddened by the fact that he hasn't made a body horror film since Existence, which goes all the way back to the 90s.
True.
I was thrilled. Oh, I loved it.
Yes.
Yeah.
But a lot of his stuff since then has not been genre necessarily. It's been crime stuff. And the one he did about Sigmund Freud, I couldn't even get through it. But I was very excited to see that he returned to form with a film called Crimes of the Future.
I've heard of this. Yes.
Again with Viggo Mortensen. And now I had assumed that this would be a remake of one of his very early films.
Right.
Very, very low budget. But it's not. I mean, there are a few parallels because it is science fiction. It is sort of cautionary. But what it is Viggo Mortensen and his partner, they're performance artists. And this takes place in sort of a kind of a parallel world, kind of a not too distant future in an environment that's very, very forlorn. It's urban. There's a lot of kind of Gothic architecture. It turns out it was shot in Athens, which is why. But in this world, pain has been done away with. So you can't feel pain. And as a result of that, people can just do surgeries on themselves and they can cut themselves open and they never feel any pain. So Mortensen and his partner do this sort of performance art where he fosters these new organs in his own body.
New organs in his own. Have you seen this, Matt?
Yes. Yeah. And they remove the organs in front of an audience. And then, they sew him back up and then he just does it over again. But as a result of this, he's got some physiological impairments that have to do with he can't really eat, he can't really sleep. And then there's the whole issue of pain. Now, this movie played at Cannes and got a 6-minute standing ovation. And I'm not saying that it necessarily deserved it. But as a Cronenberg fan who's watched all of these body horror films and has been exposed to his Cronenberg's personal interest in body horror and physiology and our relationships with our body. And it's always kind of clinically detached. Yes. So even though you've got a lot of gross out scenes, you're kind of like, you're just watching it. I never really felt the need to turn away because he's very detached in it. And like
Cronenberg and what he does in his movies, he makes that stuff kind of beautiful.
Yes, because I think he finds it beautiful.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of talk about inner beauty, like, there's outer beauty, but then what's under the skin? How beautiful is your anatomy underneath, right? And how how strangely beautiful, these new organs can be. So it's like, all right, well, thank you. I'm being brought back into the universe. You got a Howard Shore score again.
Oh, really? Nice.
Yeah. And it's just a throwback. It's like watching Clash of the Titans and a throwback to Harryhausen. Here you've got a throwback to the golden age of Cronenberg. And I loved it from beginning to end. I'm not saying that it's a great movie, but if you're a Cronenberg fan, it's like, well, yeah, sure. Why not?
I loved it. It's sort of dramatically uneven, but I didn't care about that because I'm watching a Cronenberg movie, and he's giving me the things that I love. And if I had never seen a Cronenberg movie before, this would have blown me away. Because it really does have his stamp of approval, but I was with it from beginning to end, and all the scenes and just I love him going back into this philosophy of what is beautiful and what is human. And like, I would absolutely recommend it, but you have to be a Cronenberg fan.
Yeah. So the new Flesh, like even a film of his that's not necessarily as successful like Crash, I was taken in by it because I knew the continuity. I kind of already knew. I was introduced to what he's all about, and what his obsessions are.
Like Videodrome and all that. Yeah.
Yes. Right.
Interesting. I gotta see this now. Yeah.
Have you seen this yet?
I loved it. I mean, it's on my 10 best list for this year. I mean,
really?
Nice.
Wow.
So Cronenberg gave me one of my all-time favorite quotes from an interview. We were talking about like working in Hollywood, and he said, Hollywood is interested in comfortable cinema. And he says, I'm not interested in comfortable cinema. And that's why I love him. And the thing about the film is it feels like it's him revisiting his entire career. Like there are references to almost every movie in there that he's made. And the thing that I love is, he gets a lot of criticism for his body horror, for like, oh, why do you want to make a film that's so disgusting? Why do you want to make this film like Dead Ringers about, surgical tools for mutated women or like whatever kind of crazy stuff you do. And so he creates a universe here where there is no pain except for the artist. The artist is the only one who feels pain. But you create this world where there's no pain and there's this body horror. So if people are still running out of the theater, like distraught by what they're seeing, what is it still about it that's so unnerving? If the people are like, part of the argument is like, you're creating this horror, these people are suffering. Like, how can we enjoy watching that? But he's removed that element from it. And I find that like so fascinating to like, hey, I'm going to revisit all this stuff that I did. And I'm going to take out the thing that you said, like made it so disgusting. And you're still coming at me, telling me that what I'm doing is like somehow perverse. So I love that element to it. I loved like there's a scene where there's another performance artist who has all these ears sewn on him. And he's so dismissive. The Viggo Mortensen is like standing in for Cronenberg. And like he looks at it and he's like, it's all surface. The ears don't even work. And he goes like, what I do is the real thing. And I think that's Cronenberg, like criticizing all these horror directors who try to imitate him just by doing the body horror and not understanding, or not even the suffering, just like, I'm going to show you gore or something, and not understanding that like there's got to be something deeper to that you're, that you're investigating.
It's like that line in Videodrome. It has its own philosophy. There's more to it. There's a depth.
I was thinking the exact same thing. It's a philosophy. He always brings a philosophy of, what is suffering? And it's relative, because like in this universe, if nobody feels pain, then there's not suffering. And then suffering becomes something beautiful. It's
right, especially
it's
for
an
artists,
experience.
because like artists need to suffer to a degree, right?
Yeah.
So they actually welcome it.
And then there's the whole layer of the sci-fi kind of layer of like our bodies are mutating and transforming into something else. Like we are developing new organs that can't process the old food we used to eat.
Right.
And we are now going to be smart. Like we're evolving to the point that we understand like creating food that grows out of the ground may become impossible. So we need to learn to eat plastic and trash and like whatever else. And it's like, there's that whole other layer. And then there's the poking fun at like the government bureaucracy about that. Like we want to outlaw the organs that are being created by these bodies because it's some form of rebellion that we don't want. Like there's so much fun stuff in that film to like dig through.
Wow, I gotta check it out. That's cool.
And I loved it. I loved it.
That's great to see. It's like kind of like a celebration, like you said, a celebration of all his whole career.
I was honestly bummed out that I thought he gave up on it. It's like, yes, thank you.
Wow, cool. That's very cool.
I was awesome. Something like the Human Centipede or something like that.
No, it's not like
no, but I love the Human Centipede film.
What?
Yes, all three of them. Oh my God!
Critic? Are you kidding me?
They're brilliant.
What is wrong with you?
Each one ups the ante.
You have to become the unofficial 5th member of Monster Party right now.
Yes.
I am constantly fighting the Human Centipede.
Matt and I are big fans, and James and Larry haven't even seen it and already hate it. They criticize it and they haven't even fucking seen it.
I don't hate it. I just don't think it's for me. That's all.
Each film does something completely different, and I love that. And
I actually haven't seen the sequels. I've just seen the first one.
Oh my God, they go off the deep end in such fascinating ways. Like
really,
and they play off each other in just. I mean, I don't know how to describe them all, but the
first one I find so funny. It's funny as well as
funny.
Humor. But
funny.
also, isn't it funny too?
Is it more humor than Thor, Love and Love and Thunder?
Way funny.
Isn't it interesting though, Beth, that when people talk about, especially the first Human Centipede movie, they're so disgusted by it. But when you watch the movie, it's really the most tastefully done Human Centipede movie you could make. Right?
Exactly.
And the second one plays off of it because it's about someone who like watches the movie and wants to imitate it. And like the whole style of it is grunge, black and white. Like there's nothing sterile about any of the surgery. The tools he uses are like from Home Depot, whatever. But he takes a completely different approach. And then in the third one, he just like turns it up, forget 11. He turns it up to like 1,000 because he wants to like have this human centipede of 1,000 prisoners put together. And it goes to kind of like, I don't know, like a B movie prison film with like over the top. Just loved him.
Isn't Eric Roberts in one of the sequels too, I think?
I think he's in the third one.
Yeah,
I think.
So.
I've heard a lot of great things about the third one.
The third one is so over the top. I mean, the others are bonkers, but the third one is so over the top. Like,
wow.
All right. Thank God you're
I'm
here.
There. Yes, absolutely.
I mean, see, this is why I have weird tastes. It's like, no, I don't like Disney princess movies. I love the Human Centipede movies. Like
that should be a musical cartoon.
That should be on your shirt. I don't like Disney princess movies.
What the hell is wrong?
Yeah.
What the hell is wrong with you, Beth? I don't know.
This is a question my parents ask all the time. My mother looks at me after I, say I liked a film. She goes, "Where did we go wrong?"
All right, Larry. Bring us something wholesome and positive and nice and cute. What do you got?
Heidi remake.
I'm like, because the whole idea is like, what's something new out there that people should check out? And unfortunately, because I've been regular Joe working away, the stuff that I've only been watching is stuff from our previous show that we discussed.
Okay.
What do you got?
So I'm not gonna. I'll tell you something I'm looking forward to.
What have you
Okay.
watched recently?
Yeah, it can be.
No, I don't want to know what you're looking forward to. What have you watched?
Yeah, TV show.
I watched the Book of Boba Fett, and that's
Okay.
so yesterday.
No, but we haven't
not to
really
us.
talked. We haven't really talked about it on.
Yeah. Did you like it?
I did like it.
Okay.
I did like it. I don't know if our critic has seen it. She's gonna like.
Oh, I've seen it.
Yeah.
Oh, God damn it.
And look, some of the criticisms that I've heard about, it's like, first of all, I like this whole opening as to, as a kid who grew up thinking that Boba Fett is a badass, and you think that in Return of the Jedi, it's like, it's so goofy the way he's kind of destroyed. And I remember thinking to myself, I got into arguments with my friends saying, he's a tough bounty hunter and he has all those weapons and stuff. You don't know what happened to him. I mean, he could have done something, and that's exactly what happened. I was right. Years ago, I was right. But it's like, no, there's no but. They
completely ruined that character. You think he's going to be cool and he's going to be this badass bounty hunter, and he's a joke.
Well,
he was a joke to begin with. There was no reason for Boba Fett to get such a fan base. I could never understand that.
Well, maybe
he looks kind of cool.
No, Beth.
Yeah,
that's it. Beth,
maybe you didn't watch the Star Wars Holiday Special.
I did too. Not only that,
dare you?
I've done a Life Day celebration and cooked food from the Life Day cookbook.
So there.
I have a Wookiee in my living room right now in the red robes holding a Life Day orb. So don't tell me about the Star Wars Holiday Special.
Well, then I stand corrected. Hey, okay. Let's just look. I for one will admit if I thought something and I'm wrong. Okay, I'm wrong. Are you happy, Matt?
But did you like it? But if you liked it, that's your taste. That's okay.
Well, it's funny. It's funny. I like it. I feel that I'm not liking it as much as I thought I would.
I do think the Mandalorian I really enjoy. And
yes,
it's way better. Yes.
And the best episode of Boba Fett.
Yes,
I agree. That's the thing is that I enjoyed the Book of Boba Fett, and it did get better when the Mandalorian showed up. I do feel that I do kind of agree that in a way there was no need for that series. I think they realized that. That's why they brought the Mandalorian back and all that. But I still enjoyed it. I just like being in the Star Wars universe, and there's still little touches I like. But the Mandalorian was definitely a better series. Yes. But I didn't hate Boba Fett. I still enjoyed it.
I would never sit through that again.
I have such a love-hate relationship with Star Wars. Like I adore Star Wars. Yeah, my bedroom has Star Wars curtains and a Star Wars bedspread, and I've got
Star Wars sheets.
I've got a stormtrooper in my living room right now that's waiting for me to get 501st approved, but I still have a few things that are wrong with it. So, and I am too short to be a stormtrooper because that thing does not fit well. But I mean, so I fell in love with The Mandalorian. I was so excited about that series. It was so good from beginning to end. And then Book of Boba Fett comes along, and oh my God, it was like a drop in quality and interest. And it's just, so he's neither a badass. He's a super bad crime lord.
Yep.
I mean, there's that end one where there's a battle. Like they have this long strategic talk about how protected they are, and then it's like, boom, their defensive has been broken, and then they hold on to what's the creature? God damn it!
The Rancor.
They hide the Rancor monster until the end. Like they could have brought him out any time, and then you got those. You got the Quadrophenia kids on those really hopped up little Vespas.
Right.
That was
those guys are kind of cheesy.
That was like a bad episode of Doctor Who, like that.
There was so much in that was just wrong.
Beth, let me ask you a question. Do you feel that there's been so much Star Wars stuff. It's just been saturated, and it's like you've had these creative guys go, "Whoa, what do you think about this?" Or let's just throw this. It's like either Disney's has asked for more Star Wars stuff, and so you've got all these creative people trying to do all this stuff, and hey, let's see what hits the wall and sticks, and some stuff doesn't. Do you think it's like just oversaturation? Do you think there's just?
I don't think it's just oversaturation. I do think if the main reason they're putting these things out is just because they want to have a series every 6 months, then that's the wrong reason. Like you should be putting them out because, I'm not sure Boba Fett could ever be fixed, but I think they rushed it out and I think they cut some corners on it. It might have been better if they said, hey, we don't need to have this come out this fast. Let's take a little time and really think about these scripts and get the character to a point that it makes sense. So, I'd be happy having a Star Wars series every month if they were good. Yeah. But,
I have not seen Andor yet, but I'm hearing some good things. I know it's already in episode 3, I think, right?
Yeah. So for me, I almost stopped watching it, but the third episode, it finds it hits its mark. It finds out what it wants to be. The first 2 episodes were kind of like, oh man.
You know what?
I think that's why they released all 3 of the first episodes in the same day, so you could at least get into it.
I will say that's one trend that I really don't like, though. These multi-billion-dollar franchises are making these hugely expensive shows. And I hear so often, well, it's like the 3rd or 4th or 5th episode it gets good. The pilot has to fucking blow you away. Yes. It's like, what a waste of money and time, our time, and that really bothers me. I don't understand.
I only stuck with it because it was Star Wars. Like if it had not been Star Wars, I probably would have given up on it after the 2nd episode. And a lot of people, I don't watch a whole lot of series just because I focus on film and I have so many movies to see, and series are a real time suck. Like you have to be willing to devote. So I'm really slow to get into a series. I have to really be convinced. But a lot of times people will go like, oh, well, you got to give it 3 or 4 episodes. It's a slow burn. And I said, no, a slow burn does not mean boring. Like a slow burn is like Speak No Evil on Shudder right now is a slow burn. You're never bored. You're completely tense and uneasy the entire movie, but nothing is really happening. But it's totally ratcheting it up, with every scene. So that's a slow burn. But I watched, what was that one? Midnight Mass, I think, or something.
Oh, I enjoyed that one.
I like that.
I don't know. I was in the 2nd episode and I'm going okay, so every time we get to a scene, there's 3 static shots to set it up. And then here's a character we're introducing. We can check the box because she's in a wheelchair and she's female and she's a person of color. And it's I didn't feel like I was getting anything that was actually about the story.
It's a lot of speeches too.
It is. Yeah. I still really enjoy that.
But I did enjoy it.
I couldn't get past episode 3.
It gets crazy. It gets
I thought it really, each episode had enough for me to keep me going. And by the end, there's some vampire lore things that I think are a little clumsy.
I did not.
But I did overall, I had a lot of fun with it. And I thought it was extremely well acted.
It depends too. But you're right. I think when it comes to a limited series, if there's a certain number of episodes, even if it's like a 6 or 8 episode thing, by the last act of the first episode, you have to be like, wow, I can't wait to watch the next one. If you're not,
like Mindhunter, man, that first episode, I wanted to watch, I wanted more immediately from that. It was so brilliantly done. And from the very beginning, I didn't have to have a slow burn or wait 3 episodes before it got interesting.
I'll give Andor some time because the trailer, I watched the trailer on YouTube 3 or 4 times. The trailer I thought was fantastic.
Did you see the scene that they put with the re-release of Rogue One? Did we go see? So Rogue One begins with a 5-minute scene from Andor, but it's a scene from the 3rd episode, which is where it really takes off.
Oh, okay.
So once Stellan Skarsgård comes in, it it finds its feet, and it's really more, I wanted it to be about what it kept promising, which is like, what is a rebellion? Like, what makes a resistance fighter? What causes somebody to want to rise up? And like the first 2 episodes, it's about him being a thief and a hustler and, scrambling. And it's like, we don't need this. Like the 3rd episode is like, no, that's what we need. We want to see like, where is that anger coming from and what is it going to inspire him to do? And that's when, and Stellan Skarsgård comes in and he says like, you don't want to be stealing things from the Empire, like just petty theft. He says, there's a bigger battle to be fought. And that's what, and you're going like, that's where it's starting to get interesting. So yeah, I would say if you make it to the end of part 3 and are not interested, then it's not for you. But if you get to the end of part 3 and go like, oh, okay, now I'm hooked. I think that's where it really finds its footing.
And Rogue One, I liked a lot. So
I loved Rogue One.
Yeah, me too.
Did you watch the Obi-Wan show?
Yes.
And I heard that was terrible.
Did not like it all.
It was disappointing.
Talk about cute, precocious kids. It was terrible. It was terrible. There was, first of all, you know where it's going. You know he's not going to get killed.
Right.
Darth Vader shows up like a couple times, and then the way that Kenobi escapes from him is ridiculous. It's like, it's bad. Ewan
McGregor
is great. He's great as Kenobi.
Yeah,
but the show is
hit and miss in my opinion.
But he's great as Kenobi, and the show is just a waste of time.
Yeah, it was.
Talk about the cute little Princess Leia. Princess Leia, who's like supposed to be like 12 years old and talks like a 30-year-old. It's terrible. Yeah, that was really disappointing.
And it's hard if you want to put this into a timeline of the entire Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
Because if you want to make Darth Vader that evil, so here's the thing. At the end of Return of the Jedi, he gets to be one of those blue angel ghosts,
Right, that's right.
We forgive him for everything because we have seen him in that first trilogy as a puppet of the evil empire.
Right.
We can forgive him because he was misguided. Now, if you start putting in all these other things we've seen, he's horrible. Like, why does he get to do that? Why does he get to get this like honored spot next to, Obi-Wan and Yoda? It makes no sense.
Also, some of the acting, all the what do they call the bad guys, the trio of mercenaries or whatever they're called. They were terrible actors. All of them overacting. Like they're just. I'm telling you, it's just like, where did this go? Like, I guess I felt about Kenobi the way you feel about Boba Fett. I just thought it was off. Just almost after the first episode, like, where is this going? It's like homework to sit through it. It was like I hate that.
Really.
It's like, let's a Star Wars show. I got to watch it, but it was a waste of time.
Yeah.
But also, what in the world is wrong with Obi-Wan? Like, he's moping around. He's hiding.
Yeah, I know.
When do we get to see Jedi be kick-ass?
Right.
So one of my favorite Star Wars things is the Tarkovsky interstitials, the Clone Wars.
Oh yeah,
I love that.
Little 5-minute ones.
Me too.
Yeah.
When do we get the live action version of that Yoda and Mace Windu battle where they level an entire droid army? Like. We have never gotten to see the Jedi really kick ass in a live action film. It hasn't happened.
Or not in a good one. Yeah, like in the prequels, there's some battles, but they were, you're right.
Yeah,
but they're not really.
Yeah.
That Clone Wars series
it was
so
brilliant.
good. So good.
I loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, well, I got to check out Andor for sure.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I'm in.
All right, Beth, back to you. What do you got for something else you've seen?
Wow, that Fantastic Fest gave me so many things. I will quickly point out 2 things. So they had these Ugandan action films.
I've seen one of these at the
Holy cow, man. Like
the American Cinematheque showed
you need a different rating system because in terms of quality and artistic merit and craftsmanship, it's a 0. It's a -10. But in terms of like enjoyment, it's like a 20. I mean,
wow.
Can you explain, Beth? Can you explain kind of like what these are? Because it's like one guy, right, who's making these for like no money.
For no money. So it opens. So like Nigeria has what they call Nollywood films, and they've created like an industry of action films that are low budget, but like there's some money in it, but they've managed to create like a whole industry out of it. Well, Uganda has way less money, way less technology. The country's like in a mess. And this guy is making these crazy ass action films. And so the film opens like with the first one I saw, I wasn't sure if I was watching a movie or a behind the scenes making of, because it starts like the logo for the thing, because it's called what is it? It's like it's a riffing off of Wakanda, Wakali Wood or something. And so it shows you this really cheesy, terrible CGI of a helicopter and some people. It looks so bad. It looks like a 3-year-old made it. It looks like the level of animation in South Park, compared to Disney. Okay.
Right.
But then it cuts to a scene in the village where they've like pulled up a green drape against a building and are shooting some guy on a rope to make the green screen. And you suddenly realize like these people have nothing.
Right.
And they're putting this together. And then the films are like narrated by a VJ Emmy who's telling us like, now we have the Ugandan Schwartz. That's the Ugandan Schwarzenegger. Or, that's the Ugandan Bruce Lee. And then, oh my God, is he killed? No. And then my favorite part in the first one, I forgot. Oh, who killed Captain Alex? They're like torturing this woman and they're going like, you watched a Nollywood film. What made you watch one of those films from Nigeria? Like, how dare you? And they're like slapping her. And she's like, I won't watch another one. But like,
it's hard to describe. Like I said, there was like a couple of years ago, the American Cinematheque in Hollywood ran a bunch of these, and they had one of the there's like an American actor in them, and he was
sort of
kind of, if you call him, he came on stage to talk about. It's hard to describe these. They're like kind of homemade movies in Uganda, but they're done with such passion and like you know. I mean, it's really you have to see it to believe it. Really
There's a series that came out, I think I can't remember what it was, maybe in the 80s or early 90s, called The Incredibly Strange Film Show that Jonathan Ross hosted.
Yeah.
So like every time I watched an episode, I wanted to go out and make a movie because he always focused on these people who made movies no matter what. Like it didn't matter if they had money. It didn't matter if the movie looked like shit. They just they had to make movies. Like it was in their blood and they had to do it. And I would use that series in a film school class because if you want people to make movies, like that's the way to do it. And like some of those people worked on their movies for 30 years. Some of them, had $20 to make them, whatever. But that's what that Ugandan film reminded me of. It's like nothing was going to stop them from making a movie. And no matter how goofy it was, no matter if it made sense or not, no matter if they had the footage they needed, it didn't matter. They were going to put it out. And it has such a high energy level. And they obviously love movies. Like they're constantly referencing American movies. Like this is Predator. This is, whatever. So, they love movies. They're watching them. They're just trying to imitate the things they love.
Right.
And it's got like great charm. That was a discovery. And they also had what we refer to as the whole oeuvre of Charles Roxburgh, who did Freaky Farley and Don't Let the River Beast Get You and the Metal Detector Maniac. I had never heard of this guy.
I do not know this guy.
He makes films in like New England, and the films, they're like sort of riffs and parodies of like genre. It's not serial killer, but the guy, like in this one, he's like a peeping Tom. And in the other one, he's like this guy whose life's been ruined by the fact that he saw a river beast attack and nobody believes him. But the way they're done, I mean, it's kind of like the Ugandan films in the sense that I think they're spoofing the movies, but there's such a level of sincerity and innocence to it that there's not this sense of like, it's not like Scream. It's not this meta nudge, nudge, wink, wink. We're so smart and smug that we know everything.
Right.
It's kind of this goofy charm. And, you know, the River Beast looks like they just cut out a piece of camouflage netting and wrapped it around a guy and made some paper mache hands. And there's they flash the screen red before the monster comes out because you may want to cover your eyes.
Nice.
Wow.
So it was just like I had never heard of this guy, and he works with Matt Farley all the time. He's the co-writer and main star of the film. And it was just like this crazy discovery. Like, how could these films have been made? Like, I think he started making them in like 2005 or 6 or something.
Really?
So they're not that old, but they look like they could have been made in the 70s.
Man. Cool. Yeah, I love that. It's the fact that the four of us that have seen so many films, there's still stuff we're discovering that we've never heard of. Like,
yeah. Well, you get jaded and you think like, oh yeah, you know, I've seen it. And then you're like, wait, who's this guy?
Yeah.
Wait,
but also one of the things that I am pleased to hear when I hear about movies like this is that it seems like it's these filmmakers who are kind of bringing that punk aesthetic back into film, because I mean, now with technology, almost anyone, if they really want to, can make a slick looking movie.
Yes.
And then what you get are movies that all kind of feel sort of the same. And to have somebody come in there and just do something radical, even if it's really amateurish, but it has that emotional intensity and sincerity, as you were saying, you know, I mean, that makes up for everything, because you're actually feeling something. I mean, that's been one of my pet peeves about horror recently, is that everything just feels kind of the same. It's the same scares. It's the same jump scares. It's the, you know, your 9,000 possession movies, and, you know, and you want something original. You want something new, or if you're going to, or what's even more annoying is when somebody does now, you get a lot of these homages, you know, now we're going to do something in that 70s style. When it's like, have you ever watched the 70s movie? A 70s horror film?
It's very hard to you can't really sincerely replicate a 70s horror. I mean, you can try, but like, it's not, if it's
your own movie.
I thought X did it pretty well. Out of all of them, I thought X did a fairly good job.
I've not seen that.
Yeah,
of getting that 70s vibe.
What's X?
X is Ty West's film. It's paired with that film Pearl, which is kind of like the prequel to it.
Okay.
Right.
So it's kind of a riff on Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but it's a group of porn filmmakers who go out to this farm to make a porn movie and to make a star out of this one girl. And then there's horrific things that happen. So, you know, it's not a horror, you know, it's not a group of people going out to make a horror film. They're making a porn movie, but then they find out that like the people who own the farm are totally Looney Tunes and are in danger. But it really has it captures that flavor of what a 70s film looks like. And they did a really good job. I was really surprised. I really enjoyed that.
Cool.
I'll check it out. All right, Sean, you got another one?
Okay, I want to go to the other end of the spectrum again, because James, you brought this up, and I want to go back to the world of hollow, soulless franchises, because it was a disappointing film. Jurassic World Dominion.
Yeah.
It's so weird though, because like, I think of all the big genre franchises, the Jurassic Park franchises feels the most to me like just an excuse for a new theme park ride at Universal Studios. It's hard to even call them movies. Like when my wife and I started watching this new one, we were trying to remember the last one, and like we forgot that there were 2 previous ones in this new. Like literally, because you know there's the original Jurassic Park, and then I guess there were 3, right? And then with Chris Pratt, this is the third Chris Pratt.
The third one, yeah.
I didn't even realize that, because that's how memorable
I haven't
the
liked
last
any of
2
them.
were.
But...
And the one gimmick of this one is they brought back Sam Neill and Laura Dern.
And Jeff Goldblum.
And it was nice seeing them back, but they really didn't have much to do. That's the problem. And the problem, though, is that the regular new characters in this new versions of these movies are just not memorable or interesting at all. There's a little girl who's like a clone of Richard Attenborough's daughter or something. Like I don't even remember. It's that muddy. It's that interesting and unmemorable, which is a shame because
Yeah.
I think this movie, though, probably has more dinosaur action than a lot of the last ones. There's some amazing action sequences with the dinosaurs. I mean, there's this chase through a city where like Bryce Dallas Howard is in a truck, in the back of a truck, and Chris Pratt's in a motorcycle, and there's raptors chasing him through. I mean, it's incredible. It's like there's really great sequences. They're really exhilarating, and it's just such a waste. It's like I don't know what it is. I just think of the money spent on these things, and like, but it's just you come away from it just like you forget it the second it's over. And like,
I never cared for a second. It was just happening on the screen. I was not engaged.
But what's weird though is like I remember the first Jurassic Park coming out, and that movie got criticism for being like really light on characterizations, and it's all about like you look at that now. That movie it looks like Shakespeare compared to these other movies, and it's really disheartening. I love the original Jurassic Park, and it's not the greatest movie ever made, but it was a groundbreaking movie in its own way. A fantastic concept, and like
yes.
It's Westworld. And I've loved dinosaurs since a little kid. It's like it's just God. You come away it's so hollow. It's just really depressing in a way.
Well,
hang it up.
Sean. No, guys. I wonder. You
regular Joe.
Sean,
what do you think?
No. Okay. Look, first of all, Sean, I'm going to admit to you. Sure, the Universal Studios.
Did you see it?
Hang on.
Okay.
Okay, we have the preamble.
I'm going to say.
Okay.
Yes. I'm going to say yes, Sean. You're right. Universal Studios just revamped their whole dinosaur Jurassic Park world, and I just had a friend go on it, and he was telling me that it was absolutely amazing.
I'm sure it is.
Giant.
Go to the ride, not the movie.
No. But guys, I think back to, remember when you were a kid and you were watching some dinosaur film and your parents would say something, oh, that's a stupid thing. And you go, oh, but I love it. It's dinosaurs. It's so cool. And you didn't care about like the stuff that happened. Sean, I don't think this film is made for you. I think it's made.
I wonder though, is it really even little kids now though? Are they? I mean, is there Jurassic Park fever happening now? Like because
Sean,
of that movie? Like,
have you gone to a local Target and seen all of the Jurassic Park toys?
Are they selling?
But that's the problem. They're still on the shelf.
Right.
Yeah.
There's some pretty big dinosaurs there, Beth. Have you seen them?
Yeah, but they're on the shelf.
Yeah.
If they were really popular, they'd be all gone.
But that's also the point of the fact that it's all about the toys and a ride. And like, I don't know. I just feel like I said, of all the franchise, that feels the most hollow to me.
But I don't even think the dinosaurs had any personality in this one. I mean, that's the thing that was so much like going back to even King Kong. Those dinosaurs had personality. When King Kong is fighting that T-Rex, he has a personality.
Yes,
same thing. The first Jurassic Park, you had a sense of like wonder and awe at seeing these creatures. Like you didn't need to have 10,000 of them. You just need to be able to see like one or two up close or,
I think by this point, they just feel like they have to up the ante so much. You're right there. There were so many action sequences. I just thought they were all very well crafted though. There was like effects wise, it was amazing, but you're right.
But they had no personality. I mean, at the end, you've got, what is it, a T-Rex and a Allosaurus? I forgot what the other one was. But like you could barely tell them apart.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, they were big and that was it.
Yeah.
I give the writers credit for trying to look, okay, now we've got cloning, we've got genetic experimentation. How is greedy corporate going to try to take advantage of that by destroying crops from certain countries?
Yeah, there's some thread of a decent idea in there.
But the problem with that is that the answer to that is, hey, let's do giant locusts. So I swear to God, a third of the movie got fucking giant locusts flying around, and I wanted to see dinosaurs. Instead, got locusts. Who gives a shit?
Right. Yeah.
I tuned out. out.
Oh my God, I forgot about the giant locust.
I know.
Well, see, now that you say they're a giant locust, I kind of want to see it. But it seems like it's one of those movies, just from what you're describing, where maybe at one point there was a fairly good treatment or script or something, and then a bunch of people came in and tore out anything that was memorable or imaginative.
More locusts. More locusts.
I mean, yeah, you know that was written in a corporate room with like 15 writers and it's just, it's just depressing. I mean, God, whatever criticism, the MCU gets, I still appreciate that they're trying, and they're trying to do different things with each movie. And like, none of the sequels have been that great, actually. Not one, right? I mean,
no.
they've
I
been
think the
bad.
third one it
was a little better,
liked.
but that's
I kind of like the third one because it was about the hunters and there were no little kids involved. And it was just more of an
scaled it down a bit. Yeah. But so I don't know. I don't know where we're going to go with it from here, but like, I don't know. It was just really disappointing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who's next? What do you got, Matt?
This, on the other hand, is something that is actually good. Mm-hmm. And I was blown away by how on the nose they got with the feel of the original material. And what I'm talking about is the Sandman series.
Ooh, I still have to see this.
Now, I've been a fan of the Sandman books, the comic books, since they started. I love Neil Gaiman. I've loved just about everything he's done. I'm a big fan. But the Sandman series, I thought was brilliant. Look, I'm just going to put it out there. I'm not usually the biggest fantasy person, but this was couching fantasy in a way that was digestible to me, where it all made sense and it was interlocked with the real world in a way that I could follow. But this show is so good. And if you are a fan of the comic books, what it does is it takes the first 3 books, Preludes and Nocturnes was the first part, which sets up the story of the Sandman, which is there's an occult practitioner who is attempting to summon and imprison death. And what happens instead is he gets the Lord of Dreams. So what he does is he enslaves the Lord of Dreams, Morpheus, for, I think it's like more than 100 years. And during this time, nobody can dream. And so there are all these different things that are happening to people. Like there's an epidemic of sleeping sickness where people who are asleep can't wake up. And then there are other people who can't have dreams at all, and it's affecting their minds. And spoiler alert, he eventually escapes and gets retribution, but also is able to go back to his realm. And there's a lot more to it than that. There's a story called The Doll's House, which involves there's an escaped nightmare from the dreaming, which is his realm. It's called the dreaming. And this nightmare's name is Corinthian, and he's played by Boyd Holbrook, who's great, who's wonderful. And he is doing all these serial murders all over the place because he's free. He can bring nightmares to reality in our waking world. So now Morpheus has to go after him. And at one point, there's a serial murderer convention that's happening. I remember reading the comic and thinking this was just so much fun. And so you have these different panels where you've got the religious serial murderers who are discussing the religious aspects of their killing. And then you got the other kind. And there's a girl that's brought into the story who is trying to find her missing brother. I don't want to give too much more away, but the cast is wonderful. You got Tom Sturridge as Lord Morpheus, who is also called Dream. Patton Oswalt is the voice of Matthew the Raven, and David Thewlis is in it. And it's just like, there's so many great characters. Kyle Ra is Rose Walker, who's the little girl who's looking for her brother. And it's just terrific. Again, if you've read the comics and you're a fan of the comics, what I love the most about it is how it really treated this whole series with respect. And I know that they have tried to do this series as a movie previously, but it took David Goyer and Neil Gaiman, along with Alan Heinberg, to get this thing going. It's on Netflix, and it is such a joy. It's one of those series where every episode feels a little different, even though it's part of a bigger piece. The acting's great. The writing's great. You're talking about a show where from the very first episode you're in, I think this is it. So cool. There you go. There's my case.
I'm anxious to see this.
Beth?
Yeah.
Why do you hate it?
I saw the first episode, and then other things got in the way, and I haven't finished it. But I was interested in finishing it. I hadn't read the comic, but it was something that I was curious to see. But it's just like, I don't know what happened. Something else. A film festival came up.
There's pop culture.
So much.
There's too much stuff out
there. There really is. It's a great problem to have, but you're right. There's
not enough time.
You remember when we were little kids, there was nothing. We had like
Right.
out stuff.
We had the Night Stalker and
the Night
1980.
Stalker. God, my uncle looks like Carl Kolchak.
Really?
He was a reporter. He was a reporter. He had that same kind of attitude. I don't know. My uncle died a long time ago, but every time I watch an episode of Night Stalker, or every time like I have my son watch an episode, I go, "That's your Uncle Joe." Like that's like you may never get to meet him, but that's what he was like.
Does your son like that show?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's
so
nice
great.
to hear.
That new Blu-ray set is fantastic.
Again, if we're talking about what we're watching, that's what I've been watching.
God,
and I've fallen in love with those episodes all over again.
That is, I think, my single favorite TV show of all time for me. It really is.
Darren McGavin's so good.
He is so good.
He just makes that show. Like every second he's on the screen, you can't help.
I know that we've discussed this before, but at the same time, I've also been watching. We all love Columbo.
Yes.
Yes. So I've been going through all those again, and I just can't help but feel like they should have gotten together. There should be a crossover.
Because it makes sense, because it was Universal. So many of the exterior sets and interior house sets were the same.
And writers.
Yeah, and the backlots. Yeah, and some of the character actors, supporting actors.
Yeah.
Yes, they should have done a Columbo Kolchak crossover.
It would have worked so well.
It would be like Columbo trying to, like, he knows who the murderer is, but he did something with supernatural to kill somebody, so Kolchak's going after that.
Well, that would be the thing that doesn't fit. He's always going over his notes to figure out, what's missing here. What's the problem, and that's the thing he can't wrap his head around. And
right. So then Kolchak
comes in. Yeah,
I know, it's fantastic. But
all right, group, let's make this happen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's CGI these guys and bring it to life.
All right, James, what do you got?
Definitely check out Sandman.
I definitely going to check that one out for sure.
This is a movie that actually came out in 2021 from Iceland, and it's called Lamb. Lamb.
Heard of this?
Don't know.
Great.
I like it a lot, and I recommend it. It's not a plot that I can really explain because it's a story that's told slowly in its reveal, but it has to do with a couple that have a sheep farm in rural Iceland, and one of their sheep gives birth to an unusual lamb, and for reasons that are disclosed a little bit later, they decide to adopt the lamb. And now this doesn't sound like a monster movie, but it is. And I was a little bit apprehensive because I don't like movies where there's a lot of cruelty to animals. It gets under my skin.
Me neither.
But there is not a lot of that kind of exploitation in this movie. There is certainly some disturbing elements to it. And there's also some very touching and some very funny. There's one really, I got a laugh out of it right in the middle. But it's one of those movies that when it's finally finished, you can sort of think back on it and it makes more and more sense, more and more satisfying. And I do recommend it. Again, it's from Iceland from last year. It's called Lamb. And you've seen it, Beth?
Yeah. Oh, I loved it. Yeah.
Great.
I forgot. Yeah, I saw it online. I forgot if it was part of a festival. I think it was part of a festival or something. But I just loved how it's kind of got this very low-key, almost mundane tone, because then things go really crazy, but it's all kind of done as if everything were perfectly normal.
Right.
And it's, I love that. I mean, it's basically, it lets the viewer kind of slowly discover what the insanity of the whole story is about.
And there's a lot of quiet moments, especially in the early part, but there's nothing wasted. It's all in service to the story and the character development. So I definitely recommend it. And once you see it, you'll understand why you can't really talk too much about
anything,
the story.
yeah.
Say anything, yeah. But yes, definitely check it out.
Interesting. Okay, I'm there. Larry, what do you got?
Well, I actually had a question for you guys because there's been a lot of talk about both of these things. One is HBO's The House of the Dragon, and then Amazon's The Rings of Power. And I wanted to know if anyone has watched these, because I've heard different things about the different.
talk about catching up on stuff. My wife and I have only watched the first episode of House of the Dragon, which we liked. I mean, I can't say I came away like, oh my God, I have to see the next one, but it was well done. It was kind of this very similar kind of stuff. Who wants to take over the throne? So I don't know. I mean, Matt Smith is in it. He's kind of
he's great.
Interesting character. Yeah, he's pretty good. I mean, I don't know. It's maybe if Game of Thrones never existed, I might be more excited to watch this. But
right.
I'm still going to watch it. But like, yeah, there's that and the freaking Lord of the Rings series. I mean, I can't.
Yes.
There's too much stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which the series is supposed to be like what the Silmarillion, right? It's like that time prequel, right?
They're both prequels.
Oh,
Yeah,
is that,
yeah.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know. I'm really curious. Strange timing to have both of them come out at the same time. Like, is one doing better than the other? Like, I don't know. I mean,
I don't know. I don't know if I want to go back to that Game of Thrones world. I think I'm done.
Well,
That's how I feel.
I will say this, my wife and I were huge fans of Game of Thrones. We came into it late and we loved it. And I know how people, kind of complained about the last season.
Seasons.
My issues about it. But recently, this is very funny. There's been some complaints about a particular episode where it's just too dark. And it's funny because they had the same problem with the original series.
Oh,
and
you mean the new series or something?
Yes. Yeah,
really?
I remember for the old series, there was a particular episode where there's these battles and it's like you can't see what's going on. And I remember telling my wife, I said, I think maybe the gain is, they made a mistake or something. And then you hear that, oh no, the director made a creative choice. I'm like, what? So you can't see stuff? And then apparently this episode in the new season was directed by the same director with the same problem. HBO had to make an announcement saying it's a creative choice that he took. And if I was an executive there, I go, you're freaking fired because if anything, that's going to agitate me as a fan. And it's going to piss me off, and I don't want to watch it. And then you want me to watch it.
I'm going to wait for the Ugandan version.
There you go.
When you said dark, I thought they meant thematically. You're just talking dark.
So, look, and we can talk about, The Godfather with moody scenes. No, this is like, it's
see that.
Yeah, but it was so dark. People can't tell what they're seeing, and it's like to me that's bad. No, that's
when
bad
I was watching
filmmaking.
The Godfather, I never went, "Where's Vito Corleone?" Oh, I can't see it. Where is he?
It's like I think it's a cheap excuse. Barry Lyndon, that was done with natural light.
That's right.
Okay, and you could see better in that. Yeah. And they didn't even have freaking lights.
What House of the Dragon did that irritated the shit out of me, and I think I've heard some other viewers feel the same way, is that a couple of characters started out in the series really young, and 4 or 5 episodes in, they're older. It's like 10 years later. So they decided to recast these actors. So you've got different actors playing the same characters. And it's really off-putting because all I'm doing is trying to envision the earlier actors playing these older characters.
That was one of the problems I thought, though, with the original Game of Thrones, is that there were so many characters, so many guys with beards. It's hard to keep track of everybody and all the names.
Yeah. Well, the names, forget it.
Yeah.
Viserys and Daenerys and Viserys and
Targaryen.
Yeah, no, I can't. I couldn't remember anyone's name. It was like beardy guy 1, beardy guy 2.
Right. Exactly.
Guy with the thing in his face, and
Sean, it's interesting that you bring that up because look, you did have, for the most part, most of the characters played themselves as they got older.
Oh, sure.
I mean, in the very first season, the girl who plays Arya, she plays her at the end.
Sure.
And it's surprising. It's surprising that they would make such a creative choice.
But
it's like, but you know what? If you do it, at least have it lit. So we can see people.
Yeah.
And you can have.
But when it comes to recasting, look, we all came from a time where there were 2 Darrens. Right?
True.
There were?
And there were many Charlie's Angels that came and went.
Sure, right. So, but that was different because they were actually different characters.
Different characters.
Person.
Yeah. But
Okay.
that's interesting though. But yeah, again, it's like, those are two series that I have to see, but I kind of want to watch Andor first. I kind of want to watch Sandman first. There's like so many.
Lord of the Rings. I'm keeping up with Lord of the Rings too, and it's just I'm more engaged with House of the Dragon. Lord of the Rings, I'm just sort of watching it, and it's just happening. I'm not engaged.
Really?
I'm watching it at a remove. It's not bad necessarily, but I'm not engaged in it.
But I heard it. The production values are impressive. They spent a ton of money on this, James.
Yeah, it shows.
How do they gauge how do these productions make money? It's so hard in streaming. How do you tell
anyone very much
from ratings and
it has to do with getting more people taking their service. And if you have this service, you have to maintain that service.
Yeah.
So it's in your best interest to continually create stuff. Now, this is your big flagpole thing. This is the flagship thing, and then you're going to have a lot of cheaper things too that follow this. But
plus the CGI makes it a little more affordable, right?
Yeah, nowadays it's not as expensive to do CGI.
I just
creating whole worlds.
It was interesting to watch. Recently, I went back and I saw the Philip Kaufman Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
It's great.
That's great.
Never ceases to be amazing.
Every time I watch it,
perfect movie.
It's just as fresh.
Yeah.
I look at that movie and then I watched it with the commentary, the Philip Kaufman commentary, and he's talking about how all those sets, there weren't really too many sets at all. They were actually location shots
in San Francisco.
In various apartments and homes. And there's even a scene towards the end where Donald Sutherland and Brooke Adams are looking out a window onto the street. And what's happening on the street is actually the same street that they're looking down on. Like, when does that happen anymore? All of that made me feel like there's one more layer that involves me in this movie, is that it actually feels like it's happening in real time, in a real world. And as much as I enjoy, the craft of special effects, I am getting overwhelmed by CGI. I hate to be that voice. I know we say this all the time, but when every horizon is beautiful and every mountain looks perfect, I start to check out.
Yeah, but if it's in service to a good story and a good script,
that helps. Yes.
Yeah.
Like every season of Game of Thrones before the final one, it was working.
But they did a very good job with kind of swapping out the CGI vistas with actual locations as well. So I think that helped.
Yeah.
Beth, have you seen any of these new?
No, I haven't had the bandwidth yet to check either of them out. I mean, because that felt like a big investment.
Yeah, I know.
No, you're right. You're right. I mean, it's funny. I've just seen bits and pieces, but it's like, because of the time I have, I'm trying to debate, well, which one should I do now?
I mean, think about all the genre stuff right now that exists, new stuff that exists out there, whether it's streaming on Blu-ray or in theaters. If you didn't have to work and just watched everything, I mean, you could just spend years.
Sean, you know what it reminds me of? Back in the 70s, there were so many cop shows. If you were a cop show fan, you go, hey, I don't know which to watch now. And now it's like
Banachek
but it's like science fiction fantasy. It's like, oh my gosh, what do I do? There's so much. It's a different time.
It's a good and bad thing.
The I'm Alan Partridge with Steve Coogan, where he's trying to get his new series of his show, and he's pitching like a regional detective show, and he throws out a bunch of these names of all these shows that exist. And what does that tell you about these shows? Tony Harris, who's the head of the BBC, says, there's too many of them. And then he goes, no, people like them. Let's make more of them.
Right. It's true.
Well, guys, this has been so much fun, and Beth, you're great.
Awesome. Beth, you can't leave. You can't leave, Beth.
No,
do not leave.
But what do you guys say we do like a lightning round? Throw a few out there. So Beth, why don't you throw a few titles out that you saw you really like and recommend,
or not like.
At Fantastic Fest, I also got to see this weird film called Rosin Nest, which looks like you're watching a horror film with a commentary track. Turns out the horror is in the commentary track.
Oh, that's
all
cool.
I'm gonna say. It was kind of clever. All I found out was that this guy's previous film called, I think it was Masking Threshold, so angered people that they like stormed out and like attacked the screen. So now I need to try and find that movie.
Yes.
How do
Wow.
you spell this movie? This
Rosin Nest, RAZZENEST, or maybe there's two N's.
That sounds interesting. That's interesting.
I wasn't sure. Yeah, I wasn't sure because like I was watching, I was like, oh, it's kind of funny that they're poking fun at the pretentious director and the film critic who thinks she, knows everything. And I go, I'm not sure I can watch this for 2 hours. And then suddenly like weird shit starts to happen. The guy starts throwing up and they're going like, that's not a normal color. Like, and you're going like, wait.
That's kind of a cool idea because like there's been like the movies Unfriended, which is like all from a computer screen. There's one called Host, which is similar.
Host was good. I think
that was the one that was.
Host was pretty cool, but that's an interesting idea. I like that.
It's a little bit like another favorite film of mine. I can throw this title out even though I haven't seen it recently. Pontypool.
I
love Pontypool.
Love that movie.
All the kind of scary stuff, or not all, but for a good portion of the film, a lot of the scary stuff is happening off screen because they're in a radio station and they're having reports come in. So you're not seeing what's scary. So this does a little bit of that. And it also is a little bit of like Berberian Sound Studio, where it was a sound designer creating sound effects for a Italian horror film.
I haven't seen this.
But you never see the horror film. You only hear like the sound of the soundtrack and then the effects that he's like the knife going into the melon. Wow. So I would recommend that trilogy together.
Cool.
I'm just curious, do they come up with a good conceit as to why they're still recording this commentary? Like why?
It's just like, it's recorded. Like they have the audio guy and he goes like, don't worry, we'll edit this down. We'll fix it later. And it's like a found footage film where the camera is just running. So, cool. I mean, it's not 100% successful and it's not quite as clever as maybe it could have been, but I admire it for being fresh. Like
that's cool.
I was surprised by it. Like I was surprised by where it went. And then I mentioned Speak No Evil, and that's on Shudder right now. I highly recommend it. It's a real slow burn Danish horror film. And basically the director, I got to interview him and he said the most terrifying thing is to like have to talk to total strangers and have chit chat. So it's really about how social awkwardness can lead to some horrific things.
Oh, nice.
Great.
Oh, nice. Cool. All right. Okay, well, I have a couple that are Blu-ray releases, older films that I picked up and love. This is kind of a Thanksgiving-themed slasher film from 1987.
Another one?
Called, but not many people know about this one. It's called Blood Rage, and it's basically two guys who are twin brothers. And when they were little kids, the one twin brother framed the other kid for a murder. So the good kid is in the asylum and the bad kid has been out for years. But now the good kid escapes from the asylum and the bad kid starts killing again and blaming it on the other kid. But it's very, very gory. But what makes the movie, though, is it's all filmed in and around an apartment complex in Jacksonville, Florida. And it's basically just, teenagers getting killed. But what makes the movie is the mom in the film is played by Louise Lasser.
Oh wow!
And it's literally like Mary Hartman wandered onto the set of a slasher film. She does her total like neurotic thing. She's totally committed to the part. Apparently, from listening to the commentary and the feature, she drove the director crazy. But she's hilarious, and she kind of makes the movie. And it's not like done like it's kind of done a little bit tongue in cheek, but the performances are all kind of serious. She plays it really serious. It's great. It was out for a long time, censored. Like there's been censored versions, but Arrow finally released it in all its gory glory. It's Ed French is a effects guy. He did the effects. He actually plays a victim in the movie too, and it's great. So check it out. Another Blu-ray that I got recently. I think it was Vinegar Syndrome released this. I don't know if you guys ever heard of this movie. This was 1984. I guess you call it a sci-fi musical comedy called Voyage of the Rock Aliens.
Don't know it. Don't know this one.
I don't know it.
Directed by James Fargo. Believe it or not, he directed one of the Dirty Harry films and like a Chuck Norris movie. But anyway,
Wow.
Voyage of the Rock Aliens. Beth, have you ever heard of a early 70s movie called Tomorrow? T-O-O, Morrow.
No, but I just saw this title on AGFA's theatrical list and was going to ask them for a screener.
Which one? Tomorrow or Voyage?
No, the Voyage of the Rock Aliens.
Wow.
So Tomorrow is this indescribable pop musical with Olivia Newton-John, and it's kind of like the Monkees meets Space 1999.
John Kirshner wanted to create a series of films that were going to be like his film version of the Monkees with a whole new group. And this was his first attempt.
So there's Tomorrow, and Tomorrow is actually fun. It's got a lot of catchy songs. It's crazy. So Voyage of the Rock Aliens is kind of like an 80s new wave version of Tomorrow. Basically, there's these aliens traveling in a guitar-shaped spaceship searching for true rock and roll. Okay. And I've
been doing that for years.
Yes. And they find it on Earth because on Earth, there's Pia Zadora.
Rock and roll.
And Jermaine Jackson. Do you remember the song? God. Do you remember the song When the Rain Begins to Fall? It was kind of a pop culture hit. It was a duet with Pia Zadora and Jermaine Jackson. So now Jermaine Jackson isn't really in the movie, but they start the movie by just showing that video of that song. And then it goes into the story of Pia Zadora is the girlfriend to Craig Sheffer from Nightbreed, a young Craig Sheffer. He's like the rockabilly guy who wants to be have the best band in town. And Pia Zadora, though, falls in love with one of the visiting aliens. And the aliens are kind of like this poor man's Devo group. This band called Rima it was a real band. But anyway, you got that. You've got Michael Berryman, who is an escapee from an asylum who runs around with a chainsaw. And you have a geriatric sheriff played by Ruth Gordon, who's trying to find the aliens.
Well, now I'm in.
And it's like this battle of the bands. It's indescribable. It's ghastly and gaudy and jaw-dropping. Most of the songs are horrendous. There are a couple catchy songs, but it's been now released on deluxe Blu-ray by Vinegar Syndrome.
Of course.
You have to see it because it's...
Well, see, I was looking at it because I'm booking films for Digital Gym, and I'm going like, the title alone makes me want to put it on the screen.
I think you should book that one, Beth, because it's insane. So anyway, those are my two. So
nice one, Sean.
Nice.
Okay.
James,
well, I've got a
Matt?
film from 2020. It's a South African science fiction comedic film directed by Ryan Kruger, and it's called Fried Berry. And so the premise of this is that a guy is abducted by aliens and he's a drug addict. Aliens take over his body and then drop him back down. And then so the alien in his body is just going through this joyride through Cape Town of sex and drugs, and he's discovering what sex is and how to have fun at a nightclub and dance. And
that sounds like The Hidden.
Kind of, but it's more. It's the majority of the movie is just going through the eyes of the lead character, who's played by Gary Green, who does a wonderful job. Where you get the sense of that this is a man taken over by aliens and really trying to do his best to figure out, what's going on this planet. And he keeps running into all these people he knows. And he was this kind of a loser drug addict guy. And in a lot of ways, as an alien, as being taken over by an alien, he's a better man. And so it's funny and it's shot really well. And it's a really nice combo of sci-fi, horror, and comedy. And I think it's done really well.
Wait, what's it called again?
It's called Fried Berry.
Okay. Fried Berry. Okay.
And so that's a really good one. And then my wife would kill me if I didn't bring up this series because I haven't really been watching it myself, but she is addicted to it. And so every once in a while I walk in and she's watching it. So I'll watch 15 minutes at a time. Apparently it has a lot of seasons and it's called Outlander. I'm sure.
Oh yeah, I've seen.
You guys have heard of this.
It's a pretty popular show. Yeah,
it's very popular. It's a historical science fiction drama series based on a bunch of novels by Diana Gabaldon. It was developed by Ronald D. Moore, who I'm a big fan of. He did a lot of the Star Trek shows, and Battlestar Galactica. I can't really say that this is my type of show, but from watching it as kind of a fly on the wall and coming in and watching little segments of it, I think it is good at what it wants to do, because it is basically a pretty well acted historical kind of almost like a Harlequin romance kind of thing, but softcore, because there's a lot of sex. Like every other episode, this woman who is transported, the basic premise is that there's this woman she's a former World War II military nurse who in 1945 finds herself transported back to 1743. And there she falls in love with this Highland warrior named Jamie Fraser, who is played by Sam Heughan, Heughan. I don't know how to pronounce that in Scottish, but apparently he's very popular with the ladies. And my wife would, without a doubt, leave me if she ever met him. Yes. Anyway, it's got a lot of sex in it. I mean, almost every other episode, there's really passionate, hardcore sex. It's also pretty brutal in the violence that it portrays. There's a scene, and this is a spoiler alert, and I'll try to dance around it a little bit if you're interested in the show, but our lead character is being tortured by the villain of the show that involves sex and lots of things that are portrayed pretty starkly on the screen as you're watching this. And I think that's kind of daring, but it just has a feel of softcore romance. That's something that I don't really take to, but yeah, my wife's crazy about it. And I guess there are 118 seasons of it. So, so there's that. Cool. And then finally, I've also been watching a show that I was able to download from archive.org. And it's a show called Beasts. And it was a 1976 British anthology show. And it was written by Nigel Neal.
Oh, I've heard of the show. Yes.
Yeah. Nigel Neal is the guy who created Quatermass.
Yep.
I just love Nigel Neal. And so this is 6 episodes, different stories, and it's really low budget. It's your standard British drama budget. It's a room. It's
like kind of like Sapphire and Steel kind of.
Yeah. It's a room. It's a TV camera. And, a lot of it is left to the imagination, and the special effects are pretty minimal. But I find it compelling. And apparently to the people in Britain who saw this back in the day, like everybody cites it as one of their big influences. There's an episode where there's a shop assistant who has this crush on her manager, but he's abusive to her. And so she has these hidden paranormal powers that, she uses to get revenge in a way that she doesn't even know that she's doing. And so that one's fun. But the best one is there's one that is where there's a middle-class couple, and it's called During Barty's Party. And as they're listening to a radio show called Barty's Party, their house is attacked by rats. And so, and what makes it scary is that it's sound effects. It's just mostly sound effects, and they're acting, and they're wonderful. There's one where called Buddy Boy, which is about an aquarium. These guys are trying to buy it, and they're going to make it into a nightclub. But apparently this aquarium is haunted by the spirit of a dolphin that was abused there.
Wow.
A ghost dolphin. So if that doesn't make you want to see the show, I don't know what will. So there you go. Beast from 1976.
Okay.
Nice one, Matt.
All right. James, what do you got?
A South Korean action thriller from Netflix called Carter. It's about a virus that creates zombies, a little bit like 28 Days Later. It's also got a little bit of Philip K. Dick, because there's a guy who wakes up and his memory's been erased, but he is on a mission. He hears this voice in his head. A speaker's been implanted in his ear, giving him instructions on rescuing his daughter and a little girl who is immune to the disease. And so you've got a plot to overthrow the North Korean government. You've got the CIA involved. It's a chase from beginning to end. And the whole thing is done as if it's one shot, like Hitchcock's Rope.
Oh, really? Okay.
And it's a lot of CGI. Sometimes it feels like a video game. And it's been criticized for that, but it's got some of the most compelling action. It's like 1/4 of this movie has all the action of a typical James Bond film. And it's nonstop. It's nonstop. It's relentless to the point where toward the end, it's almost like enough. But I do recommend it because it's the sheer audacity and pace. And I was entertained. Again, It's called Carter, and it's from South Korea. Also, I was a big fan of Get Out, Jordan Peele's first film.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I didn't see his follow-up, Us, but he's got a new science fiction film out now called Nope.
Yeah, I've not seen it yet. I want to see it.
I have.
Don't spoil it, though.
Well, it's he and his sister have a ranch. Their dad was played by Keith David, and he was mysteriously killed by what turns out to be a UFO. And they take over the ranch. And a la Close Encounters, there's a lot of strange happenings, and little by little, it's revealed what this UFO is and what it's all about. Daniel Kaluuya is, unlike in Get Out, he plays it very remotely, as if he almost has no emotion whatsoever.
Yep.
His sister, played by Keke Palmer, is the one with all of the energy.
Right.
There's also a subplot about a sitcom from the 80s with a chimp that turns out to be homicidal and creates this whole violent scene in the middle of the sitcom.
What?
It's a little bit from out of left field, but I think he's trying to say a lot about exploitation because they're looking for ways to sort of potentially exploit the fact that there's this UFO in the cloud over them. And I'm not really giving too much away. I was not taken in by this film. I was, again, a huge fan of Get Out.
Me neither, James.
Yeah, you agree? I had high expectations for this, and I was just like, there's so much in this that just doesn't gel. It didn't really work, and it's getting raves on Rotten Tomatoes and whatnot. So this may not be a popular opinion, but it was just...
I'm with you. I felt like there are some interesting ideas in it.
Yeah.
I wanted the movie to be about the chimp story. Like that I felt was more interesting than the A plot. And I like what we find out about the UFO. I like that stuff.
It's different.
And I like the way that the special effects are handled.
Mm-hmm.
But it didn't really grip me.
Yeah, just did not come together. Maybe I need to give it another chance, but I'm not really in a hurry.
I'll never sit through that again. No.
Really?
Well, I liked it. I liked it. I don't think it's as successful as Get Out. And I really liked Us a lot also.
Yeah, me too.
I think it was a little more ambiguous in what it was doing. But for me, what I tapped into was this whole notion of like, how do you tame something? So, it's about the horses being tamed, the horses not behaving on the set, Hollywood kind of trying to tame these African-American actors and stunt people, and the chimp not, behaving as planned. And then, how do you tame this UFO to make it behave? So like there were a lot of layers of that to it that I found kind of intriguing. And I just thought that the whole UFO and alien was unique in terms of
me too. That's the part I really like.
Still going to see it.
Yeah. Sean, I think you should see it. I mean, coming from the regular Joe here, I would say that I enjoyed it a lot. And look, I'm not going to, stretch this out. I think you should see it. Something that I saw recently, I know we've talked about in the past, but it's still from this year, and I think people should see it. And that's this third season of The Boys from Amazon Prime. The very first episode of this season 3 just really shocked us, and it kind of sets the tone for the rest of the season, to the point where, my wife and I, we just watched these as quickly as we could, and we just can't wait for the fourth season. We talked about these characters, but this main character of the Homelander, this Superman-esque character, is just
brilliant.
Terrifying. Absolutely terrifying when somebody has this kind of power, and you know what, he's going to kind of do what he thinks is right. You're like, whoa. It's great. I can't recommend enough. It is very adult though, so this ain't for the kids.
Maybe one of the best superhero things done on screen ever.
I'll take that over Thor any day.
It peaked for me right in the middle. There's an episode where there's a 3-on-1 fight between Billy, Huey, and Soldier Boy, all ganging up on Homelander, and I was loving it.
Yeah.
So it's great. And then
So good.
last couple episodes, it gets a little weird with like, okay, one of the characters now wants to kill the kids. So Billy is now with Homelander. He's siding with him to rescue the kid. And it gets a little convoluted.
I don't want to give too much away because I'd like people to see it. I think the last ending is just terrific because it kind of it just kind of tips its hat off to where it's going next. And it's so anyway, that's what I saw. And look, guys, we've talked about a lot of great things. And Beth, thank you so much for being with us.
Great stuff.
Yeah.
Come back tomorrow. Like,
yes.
I mean, it's been such a joy to have you.
We've been trying to, gracefully ask Larry to quit. So there's going to be a spot open.
Yeah, it might happen. You don't know. But I'll tell you what, Beth, I know you're a busy person. Is there anything that you're working on or something you can let our listeners know about? Something you want to plug?
Sure. I don't have anything specific right now, but I work with a group. It's called Film Geeks San Diego. And we're just a group of volunteers who program stuff at Digital Gym Cinema and also at Comic-Con Museum and occasionally at Cinema Under the Stars. And basically, we just want to bring some unique programming to San Diego. We just recently did what we call our Secret Morgue, which is a horror marathon. This year, the theme was Animals Attack. And we actually had scientists introducing each of the film, talking about the particular animals that were attacking.
Great idea.
So we try to put films into a context that maybe you don't expect. So even though they might be like B movies or horror films, you can still find something fun and enlightening about them. So, so if you follow, we have a Facebook page, Film Geeks San Diego, and we update about what we're doing. We are currently looking to plan our next year's season. We do a year-long series, and it's usually themed. And we think we're going to be doing a year of action with 4 different quarters. So it'll be like 80s action, Hong Kong action, like old school Hollywood action, and Ozploitation.
Wow.
So we're trying to shape it up, but that's what we're kind of working on. And then I host the blog and the podcast Cinema Junkie at KPBS. So you can go to kpbs.org and see that.
Cool.
And I am proud to say I just did my first DVD commentary, and it was for the Film Noir Foundation restoration of a film called El Vampiro Negro, which is actually a remake, an Argentinian remake of M. And it's
nice,
wonderful. So
awesome.
I was very excited to do that. It was my first time.
Great.
So.
That's cool.
Great.
And
Congrats.
Beth, I assume that you got some cool Halloween themed things planned.
Yes. So every year I do a home haunt, and this year it is themed to Hellraiser.
Awesome.
Wow.
Beautiful.
We will have some sights to show you.
Awesome.
Fun.
Nice. Well, Beth, thank you so much. Really.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. That was
It's been
fun.
great.
It's
Just a
like
joy.
we've known you forever now.
Yes,
after this.
yeah.
I mean, really, we have to have you back for some other episodes.
Oh, yeah. It would be fun.
Yeah.
We'd love to
Thank
have
so
you back.
much.
Yeah.
Yes.
We would.
All right.
All right.
Let's raise our glasses to
Yes.
Beth and to what we're watching. Ready?
My glass is out of reach.
All right. Virtual glass.
We'll Foley yours.
Yes.
To Beth and
Cheers.
what we're watching. Yeah.
Time for a listener shout out.
Shout out. Yeah, what are we shouting out?
First and foremost, special shout out to Jim Jenkins in San Diego.
That's right.
And Jim connected us to Beth. So he's the
That's
reason
right.
we had this wonderful guest on the show. And
That's right.
Jim is a
All because
long-time
of Jim.
listener, and we've
Yes,
gotten to hang out with him at Comic-Con, and he's an awesome guy.
He is always looking out for us. He really is.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Thank
and
you so much, Jim.
gifted us with these special paper creations that he
Yeah.
makes.
Yes.
This is
He's an
wonderful.
incredible talent. Like he's an
Yeah.
amazing artist. And
Really is.
yeah, just a wonderful guy.
And he had
Yeah.
great recommendation with Beth.
Yes, indeed. So thank you, Jim.
Yes.
Also, a shout out to some listeners who are now proud owners of the Monster Party T-shirt,
Hey.
All right.
Fashion plates.
including longtime listener Alex Gutierrez from Upland, California,
Alex.
who's been listening to us since like episode 20. So that goes way
Yeah.
back. And also from Narragansett, Rhode Island, Brian Jennings from our favorite Rhode Island punk band, Frenzy of Tongue.
Yay!
And I think this isn't the first t-shirt that Brian's bought from us. So thank you, Brian, and thank you, Alex.
Right.
We appreciate that.
Well, guys, I would like to add a shout out to one of our Patreon patrons who goes by the name of DJ Freezy.
DJ
Freezy, but his real name is Daniel Jaron. And he left a very nice comment on our Japan Day 7 Part 2 Ginza video journal that we have up on Patreon. And he says, "You guys and your podcast are just amazing. I stumbled onto you around the year 2014 when the Sony TriStar Godzilla Blu-rays were just coming out, and I was just turning 22. At the time, I could not get enough Godzilla, and I happened to find the early episode where you all were talking about giant monsters. That was our first episode.
On YouTube.
Yeah, right.
Ever since then, I have been an avid listener. You guys turned me from a somewhat curious nerd to a full-blown can't stop talking about these things, where has my money gone nerd.
Yeah.
Hey, man, we hear you.
You've taught me so much and have been great friends during most of my 20s. You all are my creature features, as I feel like I have 4 good friends ready to talk about all the nerdy things that my other friends just wouldn't be able to keep up with. Also, Matt, I bet you're as excited as I am to see a sudden rise in the amount of tokusatsu henshin shows coming out this year.
True.
It might be a time to dip back into discotheque media again with their upcoming release of Space Sheriff Gavan, which is a great series.
Yeah.
So DJ Freezy, Daniel Jaron.
So nice.
And that's the kind of thing that we like to hear, that
I mean,
he was there right from the beginning and he was 22. That makes me really happy.
Yeah, just to kind of like, open somebody's eyes to this new stuff that they may never have been aware of, And
also to learn that someone in their 20s is open to experience this stuff. Because I remember when I was younger, for example, with music, I went back. I liked when I was in high school, I liked the Hendrix and the Doors and what have you, the Beatles. Yeah, to have someone in their 20s get into this and want to go with us on this crazy ride, it just fills my heart with joy.
Yeah, mine
that's
too.
Awesome.
And last but certainly not least, we have a very, very special shout out.
Oh, yes.
So special, in fact, that the shout out is here with us.
What?
And that is
What?
is our very good friend, David Weiner.
Oh,
David just showed up magically. He just blinked in like Genie. Just blinked.
We didn't even hear the door knock.
I've actually been lurking. I've been watching from the closet this whole time. Wow. It is spooky season and slashers and the like, and I just kind of thought, I'm just going to watch you in sort of a creepy kind of way, and I'll just wait to see if you mention me at all. And you have. So
I am carrying your Katra.
David, in the nature of spookiness and creepiness, what brings you to the show? What do you got going?
Why is this happening?
Why have you graced us with your presence?
What's going on?
Well, are you guys insinuating that I'm here to plug something like a project of mine or something like that?
Not necessarily. No.
You know what?
David,
this segment is over.
David, if it is something from you, I can't wait to hear about it.
Exactly.
So please.
What do you got?
Sure.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I love hanging out with you guys whenever I can, whether it's for a reason or not. But
Likewise.
This time around, I do have a reason. And I've been working on a little movie, little 5-hour super documentary called In Search of Darkness Part 3.
Yes.
And, you guys have been so cool, starting from attending In Search of Darkness Part 1 at Beyond Fest, which was essentially 3 years to this day, give or take a week. And then I got to do In Search of Darkness Part 2 and sit down with you guys and talk about not only my documentary, but all sorts of other cool genre documentaries. And now I just lurk in the closet and I just hope you will invoke my name and I do come out, because I'm a very polite stalker.
Yeah, you're like Candyman.
Yeah.
Say my name 5 times. I hang out with Beetlejuice. We both wait.
Yeah, just wait. And you never know. And then you're there and we're happy about it.
Well,
please, David.
In all seriousness, so this is a capper to a trilogy of documentaries about 80s horror movies and movie making. And so In Search of Darkness Part 1 was kind of the heavy hitters of 80s horror, and we had a cast that featured the likes of, John Carpenter and Joe Dante, Heather Langenkamp, Cassandra Peterson. If they were on screen or behind the camera, creating amazing, indelible work from that decade, we talked to them. And we continued the story with Part 2. In between that, I worked on a sci-fi documentary, similar in structure, In Search of Tomorrow. But as I was finishing that up, we were working on In Search of Darkness Part 3, because not only did we want to make this movie, but the fans and the backers demanded it. Literally, they said we could watch these movies just on a loop forever, which I cannot believe someone, Matt, that $20 was well spent.
I feel like I got you over the top.
But we're here, and it's available now, from now until Halloween night, midnight.
Perfect.
If you go to 80shorrordoc.com, you can get In Search of Darkness Part 3, the physical copy in your hands. But also, if you missed Part 1 or 2, you can get a trilogy box set, or you can just individual, pieces. And so we're a small little company, Creator VC, that makes these. And so it's not like you could just go to the store and get it, or just order it and we just manufacture it. We do it in batches. And so these things are very hard to come by. And what's cool about doing a campaign between now and Halloween is that if you want your name in the credits, whether it's or your podcast or a loved one, you get to do that. You get to be in the credits, and you get to carry this movie over the finish line. But there's actually an additional cool thing. So like I said, you go to 80shorrordoc.com. You could see all the physical media you can get. You get swag. You get 3 really cool posters. You get a membership card, which gives you access to discounted merch, which is cool.
Nice.
And that's new.
Ooh,
we made it to looking like a video store card.
Cool.
Digital download of the movie, digital download of the soundtrack. But what I'm about to say, I think, is something that you guys would be interested in as well.
Oh boy, here we go.
You guys have been really, really great, because you have supported these projects, and these are indie projects, and
gleefully
it's over the line.
Oh, we love these movies. We can't get it. We're part of the demographic that demands more.
Yes, right.
Yes, for sure.
And you're demanding it, and also voting for it with your dollar is something that allows Part 2 and Part 3 and other genre docs to get made. So I am incredibly grateful. But this all comes down to the community aspect of it, because this movie, the entire content, all of the movies, we have 79 movies that we cover. This is the longest In Search of Darkness we've done yet, at 5 hours and change.
5 hours.
Nice.
Made my voice crack. 5 hours.
I'm looking forward to a long Halloween marathon. I'm telling you. We can watch Part 1 and 2 and 3 together.
Yeah.
These things are the longer they get long, because people say we want more, and can you pack in as much as possible.
Yeah.
But David, you have amazing guests. You've interviewed so many people for these. That's what blows me away. It's not just showing a clip. It's like you have people telling behind the scenes stories. You have people telling about what it was like to act in it, direct it.
Yes, and also the historical context of these films, their impact at the time and their impact now. Yeah, it's much more than just It's not. If people think that this is just like a bunch of clips of 80s horror films,
no,
it's the farthest thing from that. Yeah,
and I've said this before, and I will say it again. I'm sure this one will be just like the others. It'll be the fastest 5 hours that you sit through. I'm telling you, when we watched the first one, we all went to the theater, sat there in a theater, all of us, watched the very first one, which is over 4 hours. And it was like about 3 hours into it, we were like I just began to feel like an itching in my ass, and I just scratched it. I scratched it, and then I was like, fine.
You're fine.
Yeah.
Well,
I was sitting right behind you, and I might have been poking you with my toe. But yeah.
Look, I
the
just want to
spot.
say, guys, in all sincerity, I just want to say Matt is right. The last screening that I went to, which was the
Search of Tomorrow.
science, and it was that 5 hours went by so fast, and I enjoyed it so much. But I remember looking at James and go, "What about this? What about that?" It almost felt like, there's more. And I'm just so glad that at least here for the horror one, you've done more, and I'm so excited to see this.
Yeah,
I really am.
Well, I'm waiting for like part 6 where it's our film.
Part 6 is going to be about Leonard. Part 6, actually.
My 5-hour documentary.
4-hour, right?
On Leonard Part 6. I can't wait.
Listen, believe you
lots to
guys
talk
all
about.
know that movie just got more interesting in the last decade.
Yes,
so.
it did.
That's true.
Yeah,
That's true.
Who knew it was a horror movie?
Yeah.
But David, so how can people do this? How can we support this? How can we do that?
So the clock is ticking, boys and girls, and you got to get to this before midnight on Halloween. Go to 80shorrordoc.com. All the info is there about how you can get either part 3 or the trilogy or pieces of it with a slipcase, however you want to do it. Like I was going to say, this is structured very much like the other ones where it's 1980 to 1989. It goes year by year, but in between you have larger context chapters in between, and we go into all sorts of interesting territory. This is really driven by the sort of nostalgia of the VHS market and the video store strolls. And a lot of the stuff that was shot on video went straight to video. A lot of the theatrical stuff that sort of came and went faster. It's some really, really fun, cool stuff. And all of these titles, these 79 titles, were chosen by the backers and the horror community. Cool. What we did was we wanted to incorporate everybody to have their voice and say, if we want a third one, what do we want in it? You tell me, and I'll be happy to do it. And we did write-in surveys and polls based on those. And I've been taking copious notes ever since the beginning with people saying, God, you covered so much, but why didn't you do X, Y, and Z? Well, listen, I've been trying to do Extra for 3 movies now, and I finally got it in a 3rd movie. But all good things come to those who wait, because we have the director of Extra this time around, which is super cool.
Oh, no.
I pulled a Larry.
Nice.
It's got a really, and you guys, of all the people, I'm going to single out Caroline Munro. She's done so many more 80s horror and slasher movies that you might not realize, other than all the amazing 70s films that we know on horror and fantasy, Sinbad, Star Crash and Hammer Horror. But I want to wrap up by saying that because this is such a community-driven content that we really do a deep dive this time around, I wanted to give back to everyone who has been so amazingly supportive with these films. And so during those end credits, in addition to if you order now between now and Halloween, and you get your name in the end credits, what I want everyone to do, I would love all of you guys to do this, is everyone record a video testimonial about how much you love 80s horror, how much you love a certain film, a certain filmmaker, how much you even have been affected by the In Search of Darkness franchise and what it means to you. Sure. And while I can't guarantee everyone's going to get in the final cut, you know how long those credits run, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to pack those credits top to bottom with as many faces talking about.
Nice.
That's wonderful, David.
Sharing what's in their hearts. And the way you could do that is if you go to our socials at 80s Horror Doc on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, at the top, there's always a link tree. You click on that link tree, you'll see exactly how you can submit your video. And I look forward to everybody sharing their passion for this genre and keep this 80s horror celebration alive.
Hey, David, what's the deadline for that, for the testimony?
That's Halloween night as well.
That's okay.
Okay, cool.
So it's October 31st, 2022.
That's
it's not next year.
Right.
No. It's this year.
That's correct. Well, it's good to clarify. You don't have a year to do it. You only have the clock is ticking.
That's right.
Yes.
Remember, there's no more daylight savings, so don't work that in.
Thank you.
Well, David, thank you so much for coming by and explaining this, because I definitely want to do this. I want to support you, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do a little clip. Thank you so much. I can't wait to see this one.
Thank you guys so much. You keep doing what you're doing. I'm just going to step back into the closet if that's
Don't read anything or read something into that, whatever you want, but it's a nice closet. I'm just saying.
It's cozy.
And as I mentioned, Monster Party merch is available. The Monster Party t-shirts that we had a new one made specially for Monster Palooza is available on our eBay store, which is Monster Party Store. It's easy to remember. Also, the Monster Party cap is back. We are selling that on eBay as well. And it's got a lot of stitches. How many stitches, Larry? I never remember.
It's got a lot.
A lot. Okay. Thank you.
Exactly how many? I want an exact number.
It says that on the little tag. It says a lot of stitches.
It's like,
we should have
16,000.
We should have a stand at like a local carnival where it's like, guess how many stitches?
Guess the stitches and win
a prize.
We're excited about the Monster Party shot glass, which beautiful little shot glass. You can join us in raising a toast to our guests at the end of each episode.
Sure.
Not dishwasher safe. You need to wash it by hand.
Yes.
Sure. Remember
that makes it last longer.
It's a great introduction into alcoholism.
And of course, the Monster Party PPE cloth face mask, which it's a thing of beauty. It's got the Monster Party logo on it.
Really
it's
is.
very soft and it's very comfortable. And
it's comforting, yeah.
You can wear it for a Halloween mask. It could be a Halloween mask.
You could, You could just put a couple holes in it, not where the logo is. But you could be the Monster Party man.
I'm a Monster Party listener.
I think they're good all year round.
Yeah.
That's true.
I'm going to sort of kind of not get COVID.
And the cold months are coming up, so it never hurts to have like an extra muffler over your mouth. So you want to think about that.
Sure.
Sure. Yeah. And for sexy play at home, you can, use your imagination.
Oh. And if you happen to be a Patreon member, with your eBay purchase, we will throw in free surprise goodies, courtesy of Jason Lindsay and Biff Bang Pow Toys and creature creator extraordinaire Ted Haynes.
That's right.
Two incredible talents.
That's right.
Yes, indeed. So again, Patreon, you mentioned Patreon, and somehow every 2 weeks I forget what the hell Patreon is. What can you tell? What is this Patreon, Matt?
It's interesting that you would say that you forget every 2 weeks, because I forgot entirely. I took a crash. I fell down the stairs, hit my head really hard, and I forgot everything except what Patreon was. Isn't that weird? Isn't that crazy? Yeah.
Damn.
I woke
so specific.
Up. I know. It's so I pulled myself off of the floor, wiped some of the blood away, and went, Patreon is this platform that if you join it, you will get bonus material from Monster Party. Now, this bonus material could come in the form of a special audio episode, special shows that we do for Patreon only, like Monster Party Masterpieces or Larry's Toy Time, where you get to see Larry's wonderful collection. And it is wonderful. I still like it, no matter what cruel things Larry says about our stuff. But what's sad is that we just finished up our last installment of our Japan trip, our video journal. We just posted our last one. So there's going to be no more of those, but something else will take its place. And
that's right. And hey, there's a new Monster Party Masterpieces featuring some of my films this time.
Well, tell us about that, Sean.
Well, there's some of my stop motion animation films from the 70s, and I was a kid making Super 8 films, and you can see all about how I made them, and it's cool. It's pretty awesome.
Can I say something about that?
Yes.
I'm being completely serious now. When I watched that film, I was really astounded at how good it was, like how smooth the animation was.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I was very meticulous back then.
No, you did an amazing job. And when that gorilla, I spoiler alert, but when that gorilla meets his demise, I was genuinely shocked. I was like, whoa.
Right. Yes, you have to get on Patreon to see what Matt's talking about exactly. So
yes.
Wow.
And the Micronauts, by the way, have a special role in this thing. I don't want to give too much away, but it's a wonderful piece of work.
Well, thank
Would you say, Larry?
I would. And by the way, if you haven't joined Patreon yet, I suggest you do, because there's so much that we've amassed so much great content, and you could watch all of that great Japan content or all of these Monster Party masterpieces or the Larry's Toy Time. So it's like once you join, there's so much for you to experience, and there'll be new stuff coming out every month.
right.
So it's not like Netflix where they decide to take something down. All that content stays up there. Right?
That's right. It's all there. It's all there for the taking. And then on top of that, we've got these story collections from my stepfather-in-law, John Bordeaux, who edits these collections of vintage sci-fi and horror stories. And again, how much more can we give you?
Oh my God. It sounds amazing, but
it is amazing,
guys.
James.
I'm spending all my free cash on streaming services, and I don't think I can afford something like this. It sounds a little too expensive for my budget.
Well, maybe for your budget, James. So I'm just curious, how are things going with you? Are you still working, or have you gone through that entire case of Costco beans?
I'm just saying there's too many streaming services that I got to pay for. I got to keep on. Look, guys, we're influencers. We have to watch all this stuff. And that means we got to pay for it.
I know. You make a good point.
That's true.
But how about this? Think about the amount of money that you would pay for Netflix or Paramount, for God's sake, or whatever else. This is simply $5 a month.
What?
That's crazy.
$5 a month. Yes.
You can't get a little chip of Thor's hammer for that price.
No. Although I would think even a chip of Thor's hammer would be pretty damn expensive.
True.
Yeah.
Heritage auctions would be like, with chip of Thor's hammer.
Yeah, sure.
10 grand.
Well, that's affordable even for me.
All right. Well, good. So here you have the testimonies. There's never been a better time to join Patreon. So do it. And all you have to do is you just go to patreon.com, you find Monster Party, you click join, you follow the instructions, and next thing you know, you are the God of Thunder.
And speaking of Gods of Thunder, you can find us on social media, on Facebook and YouTube. We're at Monster Party TV, Twitter at Monster Party HQ, Instagram is also Monster Party HQ. And please take a moment and let us know what your thoughts are. Let us know what you think. Take a moment and write us a review. Would love to hear your opinions, and we will read them on the air.
You betcha. Right, DJ Freezy? On that note, I am Matt Weinhold.
I'm Sean Sheridan.
I'm Larry Stroth.
And I'm James Gonis.
Keep America strong.
And tell us what you're watching.
Because we're watching you. Was that a little creepy? Hello. Hi, Beth.
Hey, how's it going?
It's
Hey,
going
Beth.
great.
Hey, Beth.
Hey. Thank you so much.
so much. Yes.
Thanks for
joining us.
Sure.
Very
This is going to
excited.
be cool. You're one of us, Beth.
Wait,
Yeah.
let me grab my headphones. I did an entire podcast about Godzilla wearing my Godzilla head mask. So
Nice.
Wow.
Oh, really?
wow.
That is committed.
it got a little warm, but
I can imagine.
Was that how was that for audio? Was that pretty good or a little muffled?
it was all right because I only wore the one that was the top. I didn't wear the pullover. I had to choose.
Very smart, Beth. Very
We're-
smart.
Worst case scenario, you can either have it dubbed or
Badly dubbed.
Yes.
Sure.
Correct.
That out of sync dubbed.
Little
Yes.
out of sync, right? Yeah.
Just a touch.
See if we can get your best Peter Fernandez impression.
Exactly. AIP dub going.
Now, Beth, are there creatures in the back on the back shelf?
Oh yeah.
The top
Oh, yeah.
shelf
There's all sorts of stuff.
Cool.
So I worked on the Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
I know.
No,
Amazing.
are you kidding?
So one of the late night edit sessions, I said, "Screw it, I'm taking home a tomato."
That's
so
awesome.
I took.
I would do the
tomato,
same thing.
And then
Sure, yeah.
I don't know if you can see it, but there's tentacles. I could do the interview with the tentacles.
Hey, wait. Is that a lament configuration shirt you have on?
Yes, it is.
That is amazing.
Oh,
Wow.
It's in honor of the we're doing Hellraiser for my haunt this year. So
Nice.
no.
Nice.
Yeah. So there's Totoro back here too. There's a
You got
Totoro.
there's a dragon that you can't quite see.
Hey,
Where
Beth,
have you
Alien.
been, Beth?
Beth, can we come over and move in?
That's just what's in this room. Like
Wow.
there's the whole living room.
Awesome.
Wow.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
If you'll
You are
excuse
a
me for
perfect
one
guest
moment,
for tonight. I'm telling
I
you.
think I am either getting the vapors or I need to turn up the air conditioning. So
Yes.
right back.
Yes. Pretty awesome. Thank you so much, Beth. This is great. I'm so glad.
Sure.
You know, I don't know if you're aware, but we have a listener named Jim Jenkins, who's a
Yes.
San Diego local, and he's a friend of ours, and he loves our show. He's a really devoted listener, and he's the one who turned us on to you, that mentioned you. So
Yeah, he mentioned that. He goes like, "Do you know this guy, the Monster Party?" And I was like, "No, I mean, I have to confess, I have stacks of movies I need to watch, and so." You know, if I have a choice between like, okay, watch a movie or listen to a podcast or watch
Sure,
a
of
TV
course.
show, it's like, I gotta
there's
go to the
just
movie.
so much time, right?
Makes
No, but
sense.
that's and once I started looking up, I'm like, oh my gosh, like how have we not have you on like years earlier?
I know,
Right.
really. I mean,
Yeah.
like automatically we want you to be our best friend. Looking at your bio,
Yes.
it's just like incredible. It's just so
Yeah.
many the same things.
When we start, I'll introduce you, and then we can kind of talk a little bit about how you kind of got into all this stuff, and then we'll just
Yeah.
start talking about stuff we've watched. You know,
So Beth, since you're not you don't really know about Monster Party, just let me fill you
Here
in.
we
Just
go.
a little
Oh, you
bit.
shall.
No.
Don't worry.
Enter
No.
Larry
No,
Strokes.
just to let you know, we're a very popular podcast.
Oh my
if
God.
you weren't
Here
going to
we
listen
go.
to
World renowned.
one, no,
Wow.
hey, well, you guys settle down. If you were going to listen to one, Beth, you got those stack of movies. You go, I think I might listen to one. Let me check out those Monster Party guys. So, but just the way we do things is what's going to happen is Matt is going to start. He does this little creepy voice. We introduce Monster Party. We introduce ourselves. We say what the topic is, and then we say who our guest is, and then we go to town.
All right. The
Anyway.
only thing I will worry, he's pretty knocked out right now, but my dog sometimes gets
That's
very
fine.
whiny and needs attention.
oh, of
That's
course.
okay.
Is this
It's like me.
That's true. That
Is this the-
absolutely is true.
Beth? Is that the pit bull you were talking about? You said there's a puppy.
No. The pit bull finally got a forever home.
Oh, good. Okay,
and
nice.
so this is, I don't know if you can see. I can't move it.
Oh, that's okay.
It's my, it's
So
my,
wait a minute,
it's my
forever
soul
home.
warmer.
You mean he went to another home, or you put
Yes.
him out?
Yeah,
Oh,
No.
Home sounds like
No.
you're after a little bit.
My former roommate flew down from Portland, took the dog and drove back up. So I'm very
Oh,
grateful.
wow.
That's
That's
great.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yes. It was really, yes.
And
Happy
just to
ending.
Just to let you know too that what we normally do is this pre-show banter is obviously gold. And so what we like to do is we like to put a little of this at the end as a little
As a little
bonus,
extra.
after
Yeah.
the end music, it's like, hey, here's a little extra. So hopefully you don't mind. So far, I think we're going in a great direction.
Yeah.
Nothing incendiary has been said, although
Not
who knows
yet.
what will-
Yet.
Yeah.
Not yet.
All right,
So,
cool.
yeah.
She worked on Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
That's right.
Only the sequels.
The sequels,
Sequels.
all three sequels. I will talk about
I will. I will.
Wow. Now, wait a minute.
And I was tasked with creating bonus features for the 25th anniversary Killer Tomatoes DVD.
Wow. Is that
All
right.
the deluxe Criterion UHD 3-disc
Yes,
special
it's
edition?
the
Kamen and Tomato?
deluxe. It's the deluxe Rhino. Do you remember Rhino?
Oh, hell yeah.
So,
Rhino records.
So the thing that was great about this is they promised, I forgot what it was. They promised like 12 bonus features and they had nothing. They had nothing.
Wow.
So like I'm going through archives and trying to find stuff. And finally, like I was making fake storyboards for the film.
That's
Like
awesome.
I did stick figures being dragged behind cars and I pretended like that was part of
That's
it.
awesome.
That's
Yeah.
great.
So if you watch the bonus features, not everything is true.
Wow.
You heard it here first, folks.
I
work in reality TV, so I know that everything is not always true.
It's absolutely true. Yes.
You know what is truth? Because when I've watched those movies, it's sparked those questions in my mind.
Yes,
what is truth? What is reality? Who am I in the world?
Right.
And to know that you've answered these questions is
Very
a relief.
satisfying. All right, let's get to it.
Yeah.
Yes, because Sean has a schedule, so
Yes, he does.
I'd love to continue
I have one too.
this lovely conversation. Well,
I want to get the most out of our time here. So,
that's right. Okay.
correct.
All right. Okay.
All right.
There's a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
Oh yes, yeah. Well,
all right.
I've got a bone to pick with many things I'm watching. So
yeah.
All right.
help me get through it.
I'm like a regular Joe tonight,
Oh,
though. I'm like, because you guys are so versed. You know everything that's going on, and so does Beth. So I'm like a student in this tonight.
He comes in there with his overalls and his lunchbox, and he's watching the movie
and my cup of coffee.
just thinking about how to help America.
All right.
So
Good.
let's go to it.
All right.
Sorry, Sean. Okay.
No problem.
All right, here we go.
Matt, I
Moment of
sound good.
silence.
My level's good with my microphone, all that.
Yeah, you sound good.
Okay, cool.
Sean, you've never sounded better.
Okay, good. Thank you.
If you could lower it, that would be better.
Seriously?
No, like off. That would be
Okay.
just
Lower,
just
lower,
for the
and
rest
lower.
of the show.
This is the kind of banter we deal. We in reality, Beth, we all hate each other, so that's what we kind of
This
keep
is as nice as we get to each other.
Yeah. So.
It's all right. I'm an antisocial misanthrope. So there you have it.
Oh,
Hey,
wow.
good company then.
No.
Yeah. All right.
This is the club right here. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is this episode?
What we're watching, Volume 2.
What we're watching, Volume 2.
Spooky
Matt, hold on. It's Volume 3.
Is it?
Yes.
No.
Because
Is it
we
really?
did Eric Delaire, we did Volume 2 with.
Did we really? How long?
Yes.
That was not too long ago.
That was just April. See, Beth, this is the kind of thing that you have to be aware.
Well,
I'm
once
so
again,
embarrassed. I'm so embarrassed.
I thought it was.
Can you
I thought
please
that was
do that
titled
title?
something else. We've
Please
done
do the
so
title
many
again.
episodes. Here we go.
Can you please do the title again?
Just do the title again. Okay.
Beth, I'm so
Okay.
sorry.